The legendary battle pet warriors took the lead and they flew toward that cloud of mist. We're here because... Alas, that is a long story. The man heaved a sigh. The ice field collapsed. Captain Ya let us out, we exerted great efforts before we managed to escape. Fortunately, the wind field is still intact. This is the last field. The only one that is still intact. Sui Ping could not believe that. The field of ice collapsed? Have the other fields collapsed as well? So. The wild beasts can leave the deep caves at will. Yes, it was such a heavy word. Sui Ping's mind was weighed down. The information he had received on the surface was that the wild beasts were breaking out in the Nordic continent. But the fact was, hundreds of times even more terrifying than that. Of the 5 fields, 4 had collapsed. It would only be a matter of time before the wild beasts managed to get out and occupy the world above ground. No wonder beasts were striking everywhere. If the wild beasts can get out from the deep caves at will, soon, the entire world will start to suffer. Sui Ping pulled a long face. He suddenly noticed that something was off. If the situation inside the deep caves was so bad, the beast kings from the corridor should have already gathered on the surface. But the fact was that, while the situation was risky, he had not seen large clusters of beast kings. It must be a complete chaos up there, right? A legendary battle pet warrior asked Sui Ping. Sui Ping nodded with a heavy heart. Yes. But we haven't seen many beast kings yet. Those damn beast kings. They must be planning something. I think they're trying to turn the entire world upside down in one try. They must have learned from their past failures. They have become even more cautious and sinister than before, said another legendary battle pet warrior while clenching his teeth. Sui Ping was confused. Learned from their past failures. There once was a strike, many years ago. The beasts in the deep caves had spent a long time planning, they then went and assaulted a field, all to leave the deep caves from that access point. However, since they had merely struck one of the fields, the beasts only had one way of going out. Before the beasts were able to get out, the then master of the tower led the other legendary battle pet warriors and they pushed the beasts back, said the middle-aged legendary battle pet warrior. Still, they've struck 4 fields this time, and the formation became ineffective. We can't stay idle and do nothing to repair the formation. The moment the beasts notice our weak spot, that is going to be the moment when the true crisis will take place. Sui Ping felt his blood freeze. He finally understood. The beast kings had exited the deep caves. They were just hiding somewhere. When time was right, they would launch a full-on strike. And the right time would come soon. The surface world would be toppled any time now. The tower knows about this, right? Sui Ping asked at once. If the tower did not know about this, he would not even find a word to describe how bad that would be. Yes, the tower knows. The legendary battle pet warrior shook his head. But what good does that do? We're facing big trouble. I don't know if the tower master can get some battle pet warriors from the federal government to help us. If they were willing to send reinforcements, even a single star rank battle pet warrior, that would be more than enough to help us. Star rank, Sui Ping repeated to himself. He had seen many creatures at the star rank in the cultivation sites. Daixing the golden crow he had mostly interacted with was at the Stark rank. It seemed that such a rank was nothing to write home about for the inhabitants of that celestial star. But on the blue planet, just as the legendary warrior proposed, one battle pet warrior at the star rank would be enough to save them. Sui Ping took a deep breath. He was more than eager to find the little skeleton and get back. They were approaching that cloud of mist. Sui Ping immediately noticed that several of the people present were at the void state. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a person came out. He stood at a distance, then immediately dashed over when he confirmed Sui Ping's identity. It is you. It was Li Yuanfeng. Sui Ping was full of complex feelings. He would usually be more than happy to see an old friend if they weren't entangled in such a crisis. He was not in any mood to be delighted right then. You're here again. What? Are you leaving your family? Su Ping produced a forced smile. The girl you sent over was helping me, right? She works very well. Besides, I feel much closer with my battle partners. Li Yuanfeng chuckled. He had been away from home for far too long. The only bond between him and his family was their blood. But those who fought alongside him in the deep caves became his close friends. They stayed together day and night and were even closer than family members. Are you here to find your battle pet? Li Yuanfeng asked. Last time, it was because Su Ping's battle pet had sacrificed itself, so that he and Su Ping managed to get away. Su Ping nodded. I'm here to take it home. I will go with you. It's okay. I cannot allow you to take another risk just to keep me company. Su Ping shook his head. Li Yuanfeng disagreed, don't say that. I'm at the deep caves and no one here cares about taking risks or not. Besides, this place is safer than before, since a lot of beasts in the corridor have gone outside. Su Ping looked at him. More and more people were going into the clouds, including a serious-looking man. It was Ye Wuxiu. Are you planning on going outside? Su Ping asked. Li Yuanfeng shook his head. This is the last field we can guard. I understand that the formation has a fair deal of flaws with no solution. Still, the formation is not failing completely right now. Once the formation fails completely, nothing else would stop the beats. Therefore, we must guard the last field. Su Ping remained silent. Brother Su! Brother Su! Ye Wuxiu and the other legendary battle pet warriors had arrived. Ye Wuxiu shouted Su Ping's name as soon as he saw the latter. The others called Su Ping with excitement as well. Su Ping had been at the titled rank, they had met briefly. But they were there when Su Ping went into the corridor. The fact that Su Ping was able to enter the corridor and come out alive was praiseworthy enough. They had heard from Li Yuanfeng about their experiences in the corridor. They began to be even more respectful of Su Ping. Of course, they felt that Li Yuanfeng might be exaggerating a little bit. Either way, the fact that the young man had escaped from the corridor was commendable. Captain Yat, hi, everyone, Su Ping said. Come on. Let's get inside. Li Yuanfeng smiled. Su Ping shook his head. I won't stay. I ran into you by accident. I have to go back to the corridor. Brother Su, are you here alone? It'll be hard to get around without anyone showing the way. The paths are changing, said Ye Wuxiu. Su Ping nodded. Indeed, his patience was running thin, he was enraged by the dead ends he came across. He was so angry broke the walls by violence. Soon after, more people arrived. Who's this? Those legendary battle pet warriors had heard about Su Ping and Li Yuanfeng's conversation, they had a general idea of who that person was. After all, during all this time, Li Yuanfeng had been telling people about their exploration in the corridor. A lot of them had heard about it. Li Yuanfeng introduced Su Ping to those who had just arrived with pride. This is Brother Su, a friend I can trust my life with. Brother Su, they are people who once were stationed in other fields. We could only retreat to the wind field, since all the other fields collapsed, Ye Wuxiu said. He also introduced the legendary battle pet warriors at the void state to Su Ping, one by one. Su Ping admired their heroic deeds, he expressed his appreciation. Brother Su, getting to the corridor is kind of hard, said a grey-haired legendary battle pet warrior. He stood with Ye Wuxiu. The old man was at the peak of the ocean state and he had been at the ice field before. And Su Ping was baffled. Hard. Ye Wuxiu remembered something. Yes. The wind field is the last field standing, so, we've closed the way to the corridor. We would have to open up that formation if you want to get into the corridor. However, making another formation will be difficult, some of the materials are very rare and can't be reused if we deactivate the formation. Suaping turned pale. There's no way into the corridor? I can't get back into the corridor? Li Yuanfeng made a proposal. He said to Ye Wuxiu, Captain Ye, there must be a way into the corridor, right? Ye Wuxiu looked at him and Suaping. Yes, but it's difficult. I can go with Brother Su, Li Yuanfeng said. Ye Wuxiu was struggling. Many legendary battle pet warriors approached them. One of them with golden hair said, Brother Li, guarding the wind field is the most critical task. He didn't say it in so many words, but he was reminding Li Yuanfeng that he had to prioritize. Li Yuanfeng pulled a long face. Brother Li, you're at the void state. It would be a great loss for our team if you left, another legendary battle pet warrior pitched in. That person was also at the void state. He's right. This is the last line of defense. We cannot afford to lose it. The other legendary battle pet warriors didn't support Li Yuanfeng's choice, either. From their previous conversation, they had learned that Suaping was there to find a battle pet. He was at the titled rank, so they had no authority over him. However, Li Yuanfeng was important to them. One Li Yuanfeng was equal to more than 10 legendary battle pet warriors at the ocean state. The rest would be under a lot of pressure if he went elsewhere. I said I would entrust my life to Suaping. I owed him my life. I'm leaving and no one can stop me. Li Yuanfeng said coldly. The others were surprised to see how much he valued Suaping. They still thought that Li Yuanfeng was exaggerating, but the fact that he was so determined made them realize that he had been telling the truth all along. Li Yuanfeng, a powerful legendary battle pet warrior, favored Suaping. This young man who was merely at the titled rank. He had to be outstanding. Li. Ye Wuxiu yanked Li Yuanfeng's sleeve when the latter turned hostile. The legendary battle pet warriors who were trying to persuade him were originally from other fields. Since they were currently together, the most important thing was to maintain the peace. Ye Wuxiu didn't want to sabotage that. Li Yuanfeng knew that he might have crossed the line, but he still kept a cold face so that the others would know his stance. Brother Li, you don't have to do this. I can go by myself, Suaping said to Li Yuanfeng. You staying here is also a way to help me. If you can keep the deep caves safe, the others on the surface will be safe. My family is also outside. I hope that you can stay here. Li Yuanfeng frowned. But there's only one way if you want to go to the corridor from here. You would have to go back from the way you came in and head to the other collapsed fields, and all the paths have been destroyed. There are vicious spatial currents. You'd be dragged away without the protection of a void state legendary battle pet warrior. Brother Li, did you forget? I know some space rules. Suaping smiled. Li Yuanfeng forced a bitter smile. I know you can teleport, but that is just a rudimentary understanding of space. Even I would have to be extra careful while moving through such adverse currents. Unfortunately, none of us is at the fate state, or else we could have directly opened up a path for you. The ocean state warriors felt awkward. Li Yuanfeng was referring to teleportation as something rudimentary, but even some of them had yet to learn the skill. What a blow to their confidence. It's okay. I can do that, Suaping said. His understanding of space was not as deep as Li Yuanfeng's. After all, that man was at the peak of the void state and he had battled countless times. Suaping had just learned the basic teleportation that all those at the void state knew. Brother Su, Li Yuanfeng was about to say something when Suaping cut him off. Thank you so much for your kindness. I will fight alongside you when I come back. Li Yuanfeng saw the determination in Suaping's eyes. Yes. I will wait for your return so we can fight together. His voice was sonorous and forceful. The other pet warriors felt relieved since Li Yuanfeng had decided not to leave. Someone then began to persuade Suaping into giving up. No matter how powerful Suaping was, he was still just at the titled rank. Going through those violent space currents was not a test on combat strength, but the understanding of spatial rules. Anyone, no matter how powerful, could be torn apart by the turbulent currents in space. Sui Ping said nothing, he merely asked Li Yuanfeng to show him the way. The others heaved sighs of disappointment since he was adamant. They were fond of such a rare talent. If he could grow and develop unhindered, he would become one of the best warriors of the Blue Planet. It would be a shame if such a talent met an untimely death. Li Yuanfeng and Ye Wuxiu led the way and the other legendary battle pet warriors tagged along to see Sui Ping off. They reached a pitch-dark swirl which sucked in the nearby air. Even wind had stopped in that area. "This is the way where we came in," Li Yuanfeng said, worried. "Brother Su, have you thought this through?" Ye Wuxiu asked. He still hoped the young man would give up. Sui Ping smiled. "My battle pet is my friend, my family. I would never give it up." Ye Wuxiu decided not to say anything else. He knew how close the relationship was between a battle pet warrior and his battle pets. That was especially true for them, who stayed in the deep caves all year round. They had to rely on their battle pets. Their battle pets were the only ones that would give and sacrifice without any regrets. "This is a defensive artifact. It can help you fend off some attacks in space," said Ye Wuxiu as he offered Sui Ping an armor. Li Yuanfeng came back to his senses. He took off an armor and an animal tooth pendant. "Brother Su, these two can," Sui Ping declined their gifts. "Ans, do not worry. My battle pet will protect me." Sui Ping smiled. As he said so, the dark dragon hound barked. Instantly, over 100 legendary rank defensive layers were overlaid on Sui Ping and the Inferno Dragon. The many different types of defensive layers were glistening brightly. "What?" The other legendary battle pet warriors widened their eyes in surprise. "That many defensive layers? What pet is that?" Even Ye Wuxiu was dumbfounded. Those defensive layers were more powerful than his armor, by more than 10 times. "Time to go," Sui Ping said and waved goodbye to Li Yuanfeng. The Inferno Dragon roared and took him inside the swirl. The legendary battle pet warriors were still in shock after Sui Ping stepped into the swirl. That battle pet had made them wonder if Sui Ping was indeed just a titled warrior. Li Yuanfeng had witnessed what Sui Ping was able to do in the corridor. He knew that the Golden Hound was not the strongest battle pet. As such, he was not so surprised. He just felt concerned about him. Whoosh! As soon as he stepped into the swirl, Sui Ping immediately felt how the turbulent currents in space were cutting him, peeling the defensive layers off. The defensive layers lasted for merely 10 seconds. Over there, the pet contract gave Sui Ping the general idea of where the little skeleton was. He borrowed energy from the Inferno Dragon without hesitation. Void Sword. Bang! A ray of dark sword light suddenly rolled out, sweeping away all the spatial chaos in front of him. At the same time, a crack was torn in front of him, and then a faint light emerged from the crack. Sui Ping stepped away from the swirl. That swirl was neither long, nor short. Slowly getting his bearings and looking for coordinates could get him lost, and that could be quite dangerous. Still, he was being guarded by the contract. The Void Sword enabled him to directly break free from space. "Is this the corridor?" Sui Ping was surprised that he had reached the familiar place. One cut and he was there already? The extremely wide corridors in front of him, the dim light, and the stench of feces and blood in the air all told Sui Ping that it was indeed the Beast King's nest. "I think the formation has stopped working." Sui Ping was not happy to have reached the place. If anything, he was worried. His cut should have strength equal to the Fate State. Those at the Fate State could use space folding and space confinement. They had the ability to cut and travel through space. If any of those Beast Kings had such a rank, they could easily leave the deep caves without anyone knowing, simply by using their spatial skills. That's not a if. It is a must. There must be Beast Kings at the Fate State. And even the star rank. Sui Ping's face was clouded. Fate State Beast Kings would notice that the formation was failing as they made their attempt at escaping. And when that happened, Suiping thought of something horrifying. He looked around. He put away the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound and decidedly went to where the contract told him to go. The bond had a stronger pull after he arrived at the deep caves. Suiping could tell exactly where the little skeleton was and how far apart they were. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suiping teleported again and again. He saw many massive skeletons along the way, some of the bones were scattered around. Suiping ran about madly. Just as he had expected, he didn't run into any living beasts. His worries increased. Half an hour later he was getting really close. He was communicating with the little skeleton through the contract. He could tell that the little skeleton was also moving towards him. They would soon meet in the corridor. During the past 30 minutes, Suiping had encountered 3 beast kings at the ocean state. They were injured, recovering in their nests. Suiping killed them directly. He was becoming more concerned as time passed. It seemed that the beast kings had vanished from the corridor. Those beast kings had left. Those beast kings were certainly hiding somewhere outside. However, he had learned from Qin Dehuang and Yunwan Li that while the number of wild beasts gathered across the world was large, there was still hope because of a lack of beast kings. If people knew that many beast kings were roaming the surface, they would be overwhelmed by panic. Did the tower hide the information so that the public would stay calm? Suiping denied that idea at once. If those beast kings appear in public spaces, the tower couldn't have hidden that information even if they wanted to. Also, hiding such information would be meaningless because humankind would have already been on the verge of dying. The beast kings are hiding. Are they afraid of something? Suiping frowned. He felt that their blue planet had some secrets. For example, why would the otherworld Heavenly King go to the Longjiang base city? He had been wondering about that for a long time. Hunting for food didn't make sense, given the large number of beast kings. The Heavenly King had some intention. What could have attracted its interest? Those beasts are leaving the deep caves, but Li and the others are still in the wind field. They don't know yet. Suiping's face became clouded at the mere thought. No one in the wind field was at the fate state. Not even in the tower. Nobody was at the fate state. It seemed that only the tower master had such rank. Those at the void state, while they had some understanding of space, they couldn't detect the decay of the formation and the state of the corridor. It's a complete waste of manpower if they stay there. But I don't think they're fools. I don't think they're going to stay there for long if they realize that no beasts try to attack them. Can it be that there are some beasts hiding somewhere, and they will only pretend to strike Li and the other guys so that they don't leave the deep caves? Suiping blinked. Terrifying as it might sound, it could be true. He could not afford to belittle the intelligence of those beasts. Suiping had met many sinister beasts in the cultivation sites. Some 8th or 9th rank beasts had become skilled hunters and they could be smarter than humans. Those beasts in the deep caves were organized. He was able to ascertain this from seeing all those beasts waiting on the plain when he left the deep caves the first time. The ruler of the wild beasts in the deep caves was playing a game. The game was to overrule the entire blue planet. Humans would be the losing party and would go extinct. I don't think the tower knows this yet. I have to go back and tell them at once. Suiping said to himself. The ruler of the deep caves probably didn't think that a human would have the courage to enter the corridor at that moment. Whoosh! Right then, the strong connection told him that the little skeleton was very close. Summoning. He used the compulsory summoning that was a function of his contract to bring the little skeleton closer. As long as the pet wasn't fighting and was within a certain range, he could get the little skeleton back. That was the power of his contract. Whoosh! A ray of white light appeared in front of Suiping. The next second, a white skeleton appeared in front of him. It stumbled out from a swirl in space. The little skeleton had just finished a teleportation. They made eye contact. Suiping was thrilled. He got here in time. He found the little skeleton. This is great. I found you. This is amazing. So Ping pulled the little skeleton into his arms. He could not find any words to describe how happy he was. He had to rely on the little skeleton to leave the deep caves, being forced to leave it behind. So Ping kept on worrying about it, thinking that something might happen to the little skeleton if he didn't make it back in time. Finally, he could leave that matter to rest. The little skeleton didn't do anything in So Ping's embrace for a bit. After some time passed, the little skeleton raised its hand and patted So Ping's back. Two swirls appeared behind So Ping. The Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound came out. Both cheered happily as they saw the little skeleton. Let me see you. So Ping let go of the little skeleton and sized it up and down. The little skeleton didn't look much different, it only seemed more powerful than before. It was likely that it had reached the peak of the 9th rank. You must have suffered, So Ping said and patted the little skeleton's skull. His heart was aching. Even though the little skeleton had no wounds, So Ping knew that the little skeleton must have gone through fierce and brutal battles. It was just that the little skeleton had strong healing abilities so he couldn't see the wounds. But the little skeleton must have been wounded. No. I have not. The little skeleton moved its mouth and uttered some words even though it lacked fluency. So Ping was dumbstruck. The little skeleton can talk? So Ping found it hard to believe. He had always thought that the little skeleton was slow and would only react fast in battle. It had a sort of dull look when passive. He had thought that the little skeleton would have to reach the fate state before it could talk. The Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound eyed the little skeleton with surprise. Soon after, the Inferno Dragon turned around and looked at the Dark Dragon Hound. The latter understood the meaning behind the look and glared at the dragon. Of those three, the dog was the only one that couldn't talk. The Inferno Dragon grinned, showing an unmasked contempt. The dog stomped the ground. So Ping didn't pay attention to their shenanigans. He felt depressed. The little skeleton must have gone through horrors in the deep caves while he was away. This was reality, not the cultivation sites. The little skeleton only had one life. And it survived. While the little skeleton could regenerate, it didn't mean that survival was easy for this pet. The world should treat the tough skeleton better. So Ping was emotional. He once again pulled the little skeleton into his embrace. The skull felt cold, but So Ping swore he could feel the skeleton's warmth. I'm sorry. I will never let you go, So Ping said. The little skeleton leaned its skull against So Ping's chest. After a while, the little skeleton said, okay. So Ping calmed himself down. He thought of the theories he had thought of, which made him feel bitter again. He asked the little skeleton, do you know when the beasts got out from here? The little skeleton had to know more about the things that happened in the corridor. Yes. The little skeleton nodded. Knowing that the little skeleton still had some difficulty to speak, So Ping began to inquire through the contract. Soon, So Ping had gained a basic understanding. They left 3 days ago. Not so long ago. So Ping breathed in relief. It would have been terrifying if the beasts had escaped earlier and were hiding somewhere on the surface all this time. It would be terrifying. I have to let them know at once. The beasts have broken out. Still, I wonder. What's happening at the deepest level of the deep caves? So Ping wanted to go back and inform Li Yuanfeng so that they could tell the tower. But this latest thought intrigued him. He had never been there. He knew that the deep caves had levels, according to what Li Yuanfeng told him. The corridor was at the upper level, the actual lair of those beasts was under the corridor. Those beasts lived down there, the weak ones could only leave their lair and go to the corridor. The much more powerful wild beasts were down there. He wondered if the lair had also been emptied. So Ping frowned. That was a rare development. It should have been almost impossible to go into the lair because of the many beast kings on the way. However, they were gone now. He had a chance to see the truth about the deep caves. So Ping finally decided. Come on. Let's go and check it out. That was a risky choice, but he had the void sword, he could cut through the void and escape, on the off chance he ran into a large number of beasts. On the other hand, if the beasts had left, he might be able to find something useful there. The little skeleton, the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound didn't disagree. They had become used to his orders, whether it was dangerous or not. Sui Ping placed the dragon and the hound back in the contract space because they were too large. He could summon them if he did run into problems. Whoosh! Sui Ping took the little skeleton's hand and flew away. The corridor seemed deserted without the beast kings roaming about. Bones and feces were all over the place, and there was slime of some unknown beasts on the rock walls, which made the place seem a little gloomy and hideous. He would see some beast kings along the way, but most of them were injured and resting. Sui Ping went and killed them as soon as he saw them. They finally arrived at the end of the corridor after 4 to 5 hours passed. They made some detours because the corridor was like a maze. Sui Ping preferred to err on the side of caution, not daring to cut space open like before, in case he would alert the beasts that might be in hiding. The bronze door was slightly ajar. Sui Ping let his sense seep in from the crack. There were no beast kings. I cannot believe there is a door in a place where the beasts live. Sui Ping was baffled. This door didn't seem to have been made by some wild beasts. Could it be that in the beginning, the battle pet masters drove those beasts over and built that door to contain them? It seemed to be the only explanation. Sui Ping moved without hesitation. Whoosh! He teleported himself through the slight opening and appeared on the other side of the door. The parts surrounding the massive bronze door were imbued with strange powers. He could not teleport through any other place, only through the crack. He would have had to push the door open if the door had been tightly shut. While on the other side of the door, Sui Ping saw a passage full of mucus, cobwebs, beast skeletons, and dried blood before him. That passage had a downward slant, it exuded an unpleasant smell, and there was no light. Sui Ping had become used to pitch-dark environments, so he didn't feel any discomfort. After getting his bearings, his perception, he carefully followed the little skeleton down the passage. That shaft was extremely wide, with a diameter of 400 to 500 meters, it allowed for close to 5 large beast kings to walk by side. Compared to that massive passage, Sui Ping was just like an ant. Hot gusts of air occasionally flowed from the depths of the passage, as if it were the mouth of a living, breathing beast. Sui Ping carefully extended his consciousness to the maximum range. As he went deeper into the passage, he soon reached the end, where he found a flame burning at the entrance to a cave. Lying at the end of the passage was a lava field. There were no more forks in the road. It was a flat land with strange rocks standing there. The land was so vast that the radius had to be in the hundreds of kilometers. Sui Ping could not even see the border of such a vast land. The rocks and walls were red, and the high temperature in the air had to be at least 80 or 90 degrees. Some huge skeletons were scattered around the land. It was obvious that the competition among monsters was fierce. I don't think there are any beast kings here. Sui Ping failed to find any beast kings. Even the beast kings had left. Sui Ping frowned, he still kept his energy concealed and pressed on. As he went deeper and deeper into the land, Sui Ping noticed that the temperature in the surrounding area was getting higher and higher. The ground under his feet was covered with scarlet rock. Some rocks had been under such a high temperature that they eventually turned into scarlet crystals. There were some sharp blades formed by crystals on the nearby walls. Although the crystals didn't have any special effects, they could still be sold at high prices, even by the gram, given their beautiful appearance. Having visited the Golden Crow's star, Sui Ping was unaffected by the heat. The little skeleton, too, was at ease since it had gone through severe training in harsh environments. That place was actually cool when compared to the Golden Crow's domain. All of a sudden, Sui Ping stopped. He saw a crimson beast perched on a rock wall in front of him, a 100-meter-long creature akin to a lizard with bright red scales. The beast was resting on one of those crystals. At first glance, he had mistaken it as part of the rock. The beast seemed to be sleeping. Void state. Sui Ping frowned. He had never seen a beast like that, but he could tell that it couldn't be underestimated. The beast kings he had encountered above the lair were basically at the ocean state. But the first beast king he found down there was at the void state. Even though he had become very resistant to fire, virtually becoming an invincible opponent for beasts of the fire family, he decided not to attack. The land was vast and he couldn't assess the situation clearly. He did not know what more could be lying in wait around him. Detour. Sui Ping went around the beast and then pressed on. After that red lizard encounter, Sui Ping soon found other beast kings. One beast king was playing around in a pool of lava and two smaller beast kings were following the larger one which was at the fate state. Sui Ping was dumbstruck. A fate state beast king was as mighty as the other world heavenly king. Those beast kings should be rarer than this. He was seeing one right in front of his eyes. The thousand-eyed demon beast I saw in the corridor was also at the fate state. So, there are two already. Sui Ping's mind was weighed down. The tower only had 12 legendary battle pet warriors at the void state. One beast king at the fate state was equal to 7 or 8 legendary battle pet warriors at the void state. He was also taking the legendary warriors' battle pets into consideration. If each void state battle pet warrior were to have 3 void state battle pets, 7 or 8 legendary battle pet warriors combined could be equal to more than 20 at the void state. Still, they would be routed by one at the fate state. The battle pet warriors would have to use some special formations to even compete against a fate state creature. The gap between the void state and the fate state was as wide as a world. The 2 fate state beast kings he had seen there were enough to unsettle the tower, not to mention the 4 heavenly kings outside. The thousand-eyed demon beast didn't kill the little skeleton. It also left the corridor 3 days ago. Sui Ping learned that the thousand-eyed demon beast had survived after communicating with the little skeleton. His skeleton had been unable to kill it since it was just at the 9th rank. It was already amazing that it had been able to hold out and even fight a beast king at the fate state. Likewise, the demon beast had been unable to eliminate the little skeleton, and the latter eventually found a chance to get away. The thousand-eyed demon beast gave up on pursuing the little skeleton. That was how the little skeleton managed to stay alive. Sui Ping went around those beast kings and continued on his way. Half an hour passed. He had encountered 3 more beast kings during that time, all at the void state. It seemed that ocean state beasts were a minority. What? All of a sudden, he sensed a powerful presence at about 50,000 meters ahead of him. All the beasts found there were at the fate state. Sui Ping narrowed his eyes. 4 beast kings at the fate state? Counting the rest of the ones he has seen on the way, he had encountered 5 beast kings at the fate state in total. Such a number of overlords was enough to topple the world. Why are they all gathered in this place? Sui Ping found it strange. He told the little skeleton to merge with him. The little skeleton dashed over and covered him up. Violent energy instantly flooded Sui Ping's limbs. While covered in white bones, he was like a god of death. After they merged, he stole his way forward. Sui Ping was able to conceal himself completely with the little skeleton's help. Soon after, he was close enough to get a better view. Flames were raging further ahead. There was actually a square formation, outside the seal. 4 giant beasts each with a body of several hundred meters lay in 4 directions. The beasts seemed to be guarding the formation. Guarded by 4 beasts at the fate state? Sui Ping felt how his heart skipped a beat. There's a formation right there. The array had a complicated structure. There were runes flowing around the formation. A sealing formation? Yes. The system's voice popped out. Sui Ping was startled. He got mad at the system after coming back to his senses. But it wasn't like he could ever discipline the system. Also, the system had confirmed his assumption. It was a sealing formation. Sui Ping had spent a lot of time with Joanna's subordinates in the demigod burial. He had learned many things from them. That was why he could tell the type of the formation from the runes used. There was a ceiling formation at the deepest level of the deep caves. Was that the formation that Li Yuanfeng was talking about? Sui Ping denied that idea. No, that wasn't it. If that formation was the sole element keeping the deep caves in order, the formation should have been broken at the moment. Also, the 4 fate state beasts guarding the formation has to be critical. But what was sealed inside the formation? An even more terrifying beast? Or is it something else? I wonder what would happen if this formation was ever destroyed. Sui Ping was itchy to have a try. 4 fate state beast kings were there, but he was no longer the weak human everyone knew. Even without merging with the little skeleton, Sui Ping was virtually on par with the fate state. He even felt that one such creature wouldn't have resisted his void sword. Once he merged with the little skeleton, he no longer worried about those beasts at the fate state. But he was still struggling. The 4 fate state beasts guarding the formation. None of them could be the actual ruler of the deep caves. If 2 men rode a horse, one would have to ride behind. That was the truth for any species, humans and beasts alike. The deep caves ruler had to be much more powerful, since it had been able to manipulate fate state beasts. The ruler was either at the peak of the fate state, or at the star rank. He could deal with the former, but it would be too much trouble if it were the latter. I'll take a look around, to see whether the ruler is here. Sui Ping quietly left the formation and went to another direction. He had learned the stealth skill from Joanna. He had also discovered some disguise skills when he trained in the cultivation sites. Not even a fate state beast could see through his disguise. Of course, a fate state beast with exceptional perception abilities could later notice him. Time flew. 6 hours later. Sui Ping had covered almost the entire area. He avoided places where the beasts were resting. This was unlike the corridor, where the passageways were complex, and if there was a battle in one passageway, beasts at another passageway might not notice. But there, every corner would feel at once a battle broke out, especially when the entire area was quite unoccupied. There are 8 fate state beasts. Sui Ping's mind was clouded. He saw 8 of them at the fate state. Those were the ones that stayed behind. He didn't know how many fate state creatures had gone out. He was sure that their fate state numbers outside had to be larger. For example, he didn't see the 1,000-eyed demon beast. But none of the beasts I saw on the way in were strong enough to be the ruler of the deep caves. So far, the 8 beast kings I noticed are powerful, but I can still defeat them if I manage to fight them one by one, Sui Ping thought. He didn't think any of the 8 could have the power to command the 4 guarding the formation. The ruler must have left. I can try to destroy the formation. Once he confirmed that the ruler was not there, Sui Ping was itchy to try again. He concealed his energy and stole his way back to the formation. The 4 beast kings were still near the formation, one of them was sleeping, and another was so bored that it was playing with its tail. Wait a moment, it's not like the ruler is sealed in that formation, is it? Sui Ping thought of something. That was likely. If he destroyed the formation, he would have released the ruler. However, he soon dismissed that idea. If the ruler was sealed in the formation, how was it commanding the 4 beasts? Was it because the formation had loosened and the ruler could command the 4 beast kings with its consciousness? Or, maybe, a long time ago, the ruler was trapped in the seal and the fate state beasts had been there to protect their ruler? Sui Ping was struggling. Even though the likelihood was low, the risk still existed. All of a sudden, Sui Ping stopped struggling. Say the ruler was indeed sealed in the formation, the fact that fate state beast kings had to stay there and guard the formation meant that they had to ensure the formation was not destroyed. That was to say, destroying the formation would not be good for the beasts. Sui Ping's eyes glowed. He mobilized his astral powers. He was going to do it. But at that moment, Sui Ping suddenly noticed that there was a pool of lava next to the formation. As the lava surged inside, a scarlet scale dozens of meters long was revealed. Sui Ping looked startled. He turned pale. The scale contained a surging vitality. The scale was from a dead creature. Either the scale had just come off or the scale was still attached to a living creature. Could it be that? Sui Ping was wondering. He had once seen that a beast had placed a piece of feather in its lair. He had thought that the beast was away and he could steal the youngling. However, the feather had instantly turned into a beast which killed him. That was something that those at the star rank were able to do, long-distance teleportation. As long as a medium existed, the Beast King could teleport to any place, even from the North Pole to the South Pole. That floating scale was most likely the medium. Once something went wrong in the lair, the creature could head back via the scale. There were 4 Beast Kings at the Fate State. The owner of that scale had placed a lot of importance on the formation. What was being contained inside the formation? What could it be, that even the beasts in the deep caves were afraid of? If I could not destroy the formation and had alerted all those beasts, I could never come back again, Sui Ping pondered. After a fair amount of thinking, he decided not to make a move at the moment. The current priority was to deal with the beasts outside. As for the formation, maybe there would be a right time in the future to return and destroy the formation to distract the beasts. It wasn't a proper thing to do right at the moment. After all, once he failed, the formation would be more heavily guarded, a second attempt would be that much harder. Whoosh! Sui Ping disguised himself and went away. He went back all the way to the bronze door. He teleported to the other side of the door and ran away as fast as possible. I have to tell the people outside about the deep caves. The tower has loads of vermin, but it is still the most powerful organization on the blue planet. They know more than I do, they may have a solution. Sui Ping hurried away. He was able to cover longer distances when merged with the little skeleton and teleporting. He could travel tens of thousands of meters, and that was still not the maximum distance he could travel. After some time, Sui Ping was hundreds of thousands of meters away from the bronze door. The area behind the door is much larger than I anticipated. It's like half a continent. Sui Ping pondered. His prior impression was that the deep caves were torn apart, and that there were everywhere in the world. But judging from the area behind that door, the nearby deep caves were in one piece. Perhaps it was related to the fields outside that interconnected the deep caves around the world. The true deep caves was one complete land. My understanding of space is not deep enough for me to locate the different fields. Sui Ping stood in the corridor, frowning. He wanted to find the wind field, cut space open and get back so he could tell Li Yuanfeng and the others about what he had seen. And yet, going back to the wind field of wind in such a fashion seemed to be out of his reach. Yunwan Li should have Li Yuanfeng's contact information. Asking Yunwan Li to tell Li Yuanfeng will be enough. Sui Ping decided to go back outside for the time being. The fields were changing and he couldn't easily find his way in the deep caves, but he could manage to make a path to go back to the surface. Void Sword. Bang! He slashed space open. The light, dust, and basic elements around the sword light were all shattered and obliterated, space then collapsed into a swirl. He went into the swirl directly. The turbulent currents in space landed on the white bones, but the former were completely unable to produce any damage. Covered in white bones, even without the dark dragon hound's defensive layers, Sui Ping was able to walk around in the turbulent spatial currents with ease. The little skeleton's help had thoroughly remolded Sui Ping. In the wilderness, a brown-spotted rock hill tiger was gnawing a 5th-rank poison-tailed mink. The tiger was tearing open the mink's belly, tasting the latter's organs with relish. All of a sudden, something alerted the tiger. It turned around and stared at a spot in the air. Space collapsed, a young man with black hair stepped out. The moment the tiger saw the black-haired young man, the roots of the tiger's fur stood up. It was shivering. Fear appeared in the tiger's eyes, its limbs felt weak, soon falling to the ground. The soil behind the tiger's rear had been soaked by something. Phew! Suaping breathed in relief. He looked around. He was back on surface level. He saw the tiger he had freaked out, then stopped the merger with the little skeleton. Maintaining the merged state was very exhausting to him. He felt worn out, physically and spiritually, as soon as he dispelled the skill. I think I am close to the Longyang base city. Suaping gazed into the distance and saw the outline of a base city. He rose from the ground, stirring up piles of dust. Next, he flew away and vanished. After he left, the tiger gradually recovered, shaking its head, it stood back up. Having lost its appetite, the feline picked up the remains of its prey and ran off. Longyang Base City. Suaping had soon reached the base city and arrived at the Valiant Academy. His intrusion and the violent energy from the Inferno Dragon had alerted many people on campus. Many title battle pet warriors came out from all corners of the academy. Brother Su. Several people flew over with Yunwan Li at the front. He had sensed the energy of the Inferno Dragon, so he hurried out to meet him. He was surprised to see Suaping. Yunwan Li had stayed close to the deep cave's entrance, but Suaping had not exited from that place. He's back. The other two legendary battle pet warriors narrowed their eyes. They had learned from Yunwan Li that he witnessed Suaping entering the deep caves. He had returned, safe and sound. That fact alone was making them wary of him. Do you know that only the wind field remains standing? Suaping asked while keeping a straight face. Yunwan Li was then convinced that Suaping had indeed gone further inside of the deep caves. He wouldn't have known about that secret fact otherwise. We know. Yunwan Li kept his voice low. The formation is failing. The wild beasts sabotaged it, and the wind field is our last line of defense. Have you been there? Suaping asked, do you have a way to contact the wind field? Yes. We have space swallowers, Yunwan Li replied. Space swallowers? Yes. It's a special kind of insect. They live in space but are inherently weak. Even third or fourth rank beasts can easily kill them. Even so, space swallowers have a special ability. They can split up and the two parts can sense themselves even when far apart. Yunwan Li explained further, we studied that ability and then started using them as our communication devices across space. Suaping raised his eyebrows. That was the first time he had heard of those special insects. I have to talk to those at the wind field. I need your help for that, Suaping said at once. Weren't you just there? Yunwan Li was confused. It's a long story. Help me right now. I'm talking about a critical matter, Suaping urged Yunwan Li. I don't think that's a good choice. The old legendary battle pet warriors frowned. Space swallowers are precious and hard to catch. Using them will shorten their lifespan, and we only have a couple of split-up pieces of the small ones. They can only be used twice. If we use them now, we would only have one chance left. If something happens and we don't have enough of them, the young legendary battle pet warrior said, right. The Longyang base city can be under attack at any time and the wild beasts can escape from the deep caves. We cannot waste the space swallowers. Brother Su, why don't you tell us about that critical matter? Suaping glared at them. The wild beasts have disappeared from the deep caves. Is that critical enough? Disappeared? I cannot believe it. That's not possible. The three legendary battle pet warriors were startled. Yunwan Li came back to his senses first. Brother Su, you cannot joke about that. Suaping sneered. Do you think I'm in the mood to joke around? Yunwan Li could still not believe it. But how can it be? Are those wild beasts already outside, on the surface? But, we haven't heard anything about it. Some of the beasts got out but not all of them. The formation is still working, I only trust what I saw. Most of the wild beasts in the deepest parts of the caves have disappeared. Only a few remain in their lair, Suaping said coldly. He had seen many beasts' nests when he was exploring. There should have been a large number of beasts down there. Are you saying you went to the corridor? The old legendary battle pet warrior was having a hard time believing that. The corridor was a place that even legendary battle pet warriors were scared of, a place where beast kings lived. Any legendary battle pet warrior who went there unprepared would be torn apart by the beast kings. Sui Ping suddenly felt that the situation was comical. He sneered, but was no longer in the mood to argue with them. Give me the space swallowers, Sui Ping said to Yunwan Li. Yunwan Li knew from the coldness in Sui Ping's eyes that he would resort to violence if they dallied any longer. This young man is not a friendly person. After a moment of hesitation, Yunwan Li agreed. Okay. Sui Ping had gone to the corridor with Li Yuanfeng, which is why Yunwan Li had become aware that Li Yuanfeng was still alive. The latter had even praised Sui Ping extensively. Also, Sui Ping had challenged the tower. It was believable that Sui Ping had the ability to go to the corridor. Old Wan. The young legendary battle pet warrior was about to say something when he suddenly felt as if a blade had been placed on his neck. He looked over, only to see the glint of coldness in Sui Ping's eyes. That glare was as sharp as a tangible blade. The young legendary battle pet warrior turned pale. He eventually refrained to say anything else to stop Sui Ping. Soon after, Yunwan Li returned with an insect in his hand. The critter was the size of his palm. It was curled up, like an earthworm. The insect had a strange mouth filled with small but sharp teeth. It would be a scary sight if the insect were hundreds of times larger. But since the insect was small, it didn't seem as disgusting. This is a space swallower, Yunwan Li said. Sui Ping nodded. He wondered when he could get a space swallower himself. They worked better than phones, being able to connect different spaces. Contact the wind field, Sui Ping said. Yunwan Li nodded. This little thing is my battle pet, I signed a contract with it. Brother Su, tell me what you want to say and I will tell the little thing to deliver the message. Sui Ping then understood better. The only way for humans to control beasts was to turn the latter into pets. Of course, some had tried to tame beasts without using contracts, but none of those people ended up well. Taming without contracts could only work on beasts with mild and kind characters. Beasts born to be skilled in combat were violent in nature. They could only be temporarily tame and could always give in to violence, eventually attacking their masters. So, you saved up a spot for this little thing? Yes. The number of battle pets is not the most important thing. The battle pets and the warrior have to work well together. Of course, I would have to give up if I ran into some rare beasts but didn't have any spots available. I don't want to cancel any contract because that would make me weak and an easy target, Yunwan Li said. Sui Ping nodded and then told Yunwan Li about the situation in the deep caves. Silence prevailed as he told the story. Yunwan Li and the other two legendary battle pet warriors stared at Sui Ping in shock. They could not believe that not only had Sui Ping gone into the corridor, he had also reached the deepest level. They had heard that the corridor was not at the bottom of the deep caves. The deepest level under the corridor was the most terrifying place inside the deep caves. Sui Ping only mentioned seeing 5 beasts at the Fate State while he explored. He didn't count the ones that had already left the deep caves. The three looked at each other in speechless astonishment and fear. Sui Ping didn't worry about the frightful effect of his news. The three were legendary battle pet warriors. If they couldn't stay composed in such a situation, they would not make a worthwhile contribution in battle. Brother Su, are you serious? Yunwan Li gulped. Sui Ping glared at him grumpily. Do I really look like someone who would joke around? Tell them, and tell this to anyone who is really doing something in the tower, Sui Ping said. Yunwan Li came back to his senses and nodded. His heart was still racing. This is terrifying news. Brother Su, we're fortunate that you noticed all this. Those beasts must be hiding somewhere, plotting something. Maybe they want to sneak up on us and deal a disastrous blow. Sui Ping didn't answer. Those beasts were certainly behaving like that for a reason. That reason could have something to do with the ceiling formation he had seen at the deepest level. I have something else to do. I have to go, Suoping said. The war was on the verge of breaking out, he could not waste any more time. He had to go back to his store so that he could train some battle pets. Judging by what he had seen in the deep caves, humans were sorely lacking in strength. He hoped he could make a difference. Of course. Yunwanli nodded. Suddenly, his phone began to ring. He answered the call at once. Soon, the information provided made everyone turn pale. A super-large strike to the Holy Light Base City. Yunwanli was frozen on the spot. There would have to be 2 Beast Kings or more to categorize the attack as super-large. I remember that Brother Guo is at the Holy Light Base City. He should be able to manage if the Beast Kings are below the Void State, the young legendary battle pet warrior said. Legendary battle pet warriors are usually enough to deal with super-large strikes. But things are different, Yunwanli was worried. The wild beasts from the deep caves are hiding in unknown places. We may need to rethink the beast strikes categories. The other 2 turned pale, but neither disagreed. That was true. In the past, 2 Beast Kings were able enough to deal a super-large strike, or level S. But with the many Beast Kings that had escaped, their numbers were unprecedented. If the Beast Kings were organized, it wouldn't be surprising that dozens of Beast Kings would coordinate and strike a base city. That attack would go far beyond what they knew as super-large. Either way, I think we should go and check it out, Yunwanli said. The Holy Light Base City is not far away from ours. We of course would have declined right away if the base city was too far away. It would only take us an hour to make a round trip. I'm thinking that we should send reinforcements. But what if something happens during that time? We can make it back if that were the case. Yunwanli was determined. Longyang can survive an hour without us in a strike. If the base city cannot even do that, no matter how many of us stay, it would be pointless. I think, just to be safe, we should send someone over to gather more info. If things are bad, I'll personally go there to help, the old legendary battle pet warrior proposed. Yunwanli nodded. That'll do. Stay here. I will go there, Suoping jumped in. You said that it wasn't far from here. Also, it just so happens that I know someone there. I'll take care of the reinforcing. You. The 3 gazed at him. Yunwanli was delighted by the proposal. Brother Su, thank you so much for helping up. You're better than the 3 of us combined. I won't have to worry while you're there. Yunwanli had deepened his understanding of Suoping when he accompanied him to the deep caves, also based on what the legendary battle pet warrior in the golden armor had disclosed. Suoping was a person who was able to kill Void State warriors with a single punch while in the tower. It was hardly believable, but Yunwanli still believed that Suoping's combat strength should be close to the peak of the Void State, or even the Fate State. Suoping had entered the Dragon Tower. As far as Yunwanli could tell, the young man was a rare talent, even compared to all the other talents in the Federation. We can also set our minds at ease, Brother Su, said the old legendary battle pet warrior. He still doubted Yunwanli's words, but the fact that Suoping had indeed entered the corridor had left a deep impression in the old warrior. Don't mention it. See you. Suoping waved his hand. He didn't waste any more time. Time was pressing and he wasn't one for small talk. After all, he didn't like interacting with those legendary battle pet warriors from the tower, to begin with. He took his leave without delay. Suoping summoned his Inferno Dragon and stood on one of its shoulders. The Inferno Dragon flapped its wings, the scorching airwave swept across the sky, then the dragon turned and soared in the sky. Yunwanli wore a smile as he watched Suoping leave. The Holy Light Base City still had hope. If Suoping wasn't enough to save the Holy Light Base City, that might be a sign of true disaster. After all, a common super-large strike was nothing for a freak like Suoping. That person didn't join the tower, but I don't think he's a bad guy. The old legendary battle pet warrior narrowed his eyes. He was able to tell right from wrong. From the stories he had heard in the tower, he knew that Suaping challenged authority, was prone to violence and merciless. However, since he had finally met him in person, he felt Suaping was only a bit arrogant, and he openly disliked them, but he wasn't a vile person. You cannot say that. Maybe he's just trying to save his friends, the young legendary battle pet warrior countered. Yunwan Li frowned and cast a cold glance at the young legendary battle pet warrior. That was a time when cooperation was sorely needed. He would hate to see internal conflicts rise. The Inferno Dragon was fast. No one showed up to stop it when it dashed out from the base city's wall. Soon enough, Suaping was able to see the outline of the Holy Light base city. The wild beasts. He saw many groups of beasts in the wilderness as he got closer. The beasts were of various species, but they were all moving in the same direction. Many of the 9th rank beasts stood out because of their sheer size. Besides, Suaping saw several beasts that were hundreds of meters tall. The aerial view was shocking. 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 beast kings. Suaping was worried. He had already seen 6 beast kings in the crowd. The other wild beasts were afraid to stand too close to them. All of them are at the ocean state, which is good news. Suaping summoned the little skeleton and the dark dragon hound at once. He then told them to go ahead and fight the wild beasts. Bark! The dark dragon hound could not wait to let out its energy. The hound jumped right into the herd of beasts from the sky, alerting them. The pet's terrifying presence made the wild beasts run away. Soon, the beast kings noticed the unfamiliar presence. They stopped, turned around, and bellowed at the dark dragon hound. Roar! While afraid, the wild beast's violent nature was inspired by the beast king's roars. The wild beasts turned around and charged at the dark dragon hound. Sing! The dark dragon hound covered itself with defensive layers, making itself as strong as iron. Then it walked around in the cluster of wild beasts, while the latter bumped into the defensive layers one after the other. The dark dragon hound found amusement in watching those wild beast kings getting hurt. The dark dragon hound was playing around while the little skeleton was working hard. It took out its bone blade and soon approached a beast king. The little skeleton was unstoppable. It wielded its bone blade, and a ray of black sword light cut open the armor that the beast king had just raised, leaving a wound so deep that the bones could be seen. As a matter of fact, the little skeleton had almost halved the beast king. After struggling to survive in the deep caves, the little skeleton's swordplay had improved considerably. Roar! The Inferno Dragon flew over. Its wings were casting a large shadow over the group of beasts. Suaping rolled his eyes when he saw how the dog was playing around. The dark dragon hound raised its head and stole a glance at Suaping. Although unhappy, it no longer had the courage to fool around. It began to unleash many 9th rank skills. The ground was shaking and thunder clapped. The hound created a vacuum in the midst of those beasts. In the meantime, on the city walls of the Holy Light base city, the entire base city was under a state of emergency. A warrior was reporting to a titled battle pet warrior. Report. The wild beasts are 300 kilometers away from the base city, approaching at a speed of 60 km/h. The titled battle pet warrior wore armor with the insignia of the Holy Light base city's army. He worked for the government. So, at this rate, they will arrive in 5 hours. I think this isn't surprising for such a large crowd of beasts. They will start to charge once they get a bit closer. So, we have less than 4 hours to get ready, the titled battle pet warrior murmured to himself. With that said, he turned around. Standing next to him was a middle-aged man who looked slim, with dark hair combed in a bun. His attire made him look like a man from the past. He carried a long spear on his back wrapped in cloth, merely revealing the head of the spear. Legend Riverside, what can we do? The titled battle pet warrior asked with respect. The middle-aged warrior gazed into the distance. He could see some battle pet warriors and their battle pets working hard there. Have you prepared the mines and the missiles? The middle-aged man asked. Yes. Have you collected enough information? How many beast kings have you found? Well, we don't have the details yet, but I think the report will arrive shortly. Good. How about logistics? Tell them not to be so tense. The battle will last a few days. Don't allow them to stress out. Okay. The titled battle pet warrior went away. He urged the intelligence unit to collect information in time so that they could make due preparations. If it weren't for Legend Riverside, the Holy Light Base City would have been in a complete mess right then. They were able to continue their work in an orderly fashion thanks to him. That was the sense of security that Legend Riverside had given them. Have you lent the battle pets that have been kept in the Trainers Association? Legend Riverside asked. The titled battle pet warrior answered at once, yes, we have. We're in a state of emergency. The association contacted us 3 hours ago. Good. Legend Riverside nodded but said nothing else. Holy Light Base City. Trainers Association. Go to the shelter, a middle-aged man said to 2 girls in the distance as he walked past a lawn. No. We have to help distribute the pets. She's right. We can't participate in the battle, but the Holy Light Base City is under attack. We are part of this base city. We don't want to be cowards, the 2 girls said. Standing in front of them were many battle pet warriors wearing government armor. They were queuing to pick up battle pets from the Trainers Association. According to their experience and military ranks, each of them could get a different battle pet. The Trainers Association had categorized the battle pets into levels S, A, B, C, and D according to their combat strengths and aptitudes. Level S represented the rarest battle pets. They were strong and well trained. Nonsense. Anyone else can help with the registration. Go to the shelter, the middle-aged man shouted at the 2 girls. None of the battle pet warriors dared to interfere when they saw that the middle-aged man was a master trainer. Dad, we're serious, one of the girls said. There's a legendary battle pet warrior in the base city, right? We can safeguard it while he's here. The seemingly less stubborn girl was also determined at this time. You don't even know what you're talking about. What if the wild beasts happen to breach the wall and invade the base city? You're just as vulnerable as the general public. Go. The middle-aged was both anxious and afraid. Compared to the 2 girls, he was the one who wasn't calm enough. Old she. A man arrived from a distance. The middle-aged man turned to meet an old man with thick hair. The chairman has called us for a meeting. What are you doing here? Come with me. We're talking about a grave matter. We cannot afford to be careless, the elderly man urged his junior. The middle-aged frowned. Of course, he knew that. He shouted at the 2 girls again, I don't have time to argue with you. Leave. I won't. Before she could finish, the other girl stopped her and nodded. Of course, sure, we'll leave right now. You humph. The middle-aged man could see through the second girl right away. Old she. The old man was getting impatient. The middle-aged man bit his teeth. I won't be lenient if I see you 2 here when I get out. Sure. After the middle-aged man left, the 2 girls breathed in relief and went back to work. I wonder if we can succeed this time. One of the girls looked worried. Don't worry. We have a legendary battle pet warrior here. We will succeed. The other girl was more optimistic. Right, and you can count on us as well. We will try our best and fight till the last second. The warriors added. The rest nodded in agreement. The 2 girls smiled at those battle pet warriors who had shown their resolve. In a tent on the outer wall. The Holy Light Base City was one of the top-level base cities and the walls were wide enough to have fighter planes land there. There were even missiles lined up on the wall and cars could drive around freely. In one of the tents several people were standing there, including Legend Riverside. Standing next to him was an old man in silver armor. He was the commander-in-chief of the Holy Light Base City. The mayor was busy with other work. When a battle was about to break out, the place that was the least stable of all the base city's interior. After all, the population, rich or poor, were afraid of death. Once fear took over, a mess would ensue. We have detected 7 Beast Kings. There should be some Beast Kings that haven't shown themselves yet. Sir, the commander-in-chief looked at Legend Riverside. The former was not putting all of his hopes on Legend Riverside, but on the tower. Legend Riverside's face was clouded. 7 Beast Kings. Not counting the ones that they had not found yet. I only have 4 Beast King battle pets. Of course, he still had some advantage. If he merged with his battle pets, it would only be a simple case of 1 + 1 = 2. He could even try his hand confronting a Beast King at the Void State. He would certainly gain the upper hand if the Beast Kings were at the Ocean State, being able to finish them quickly unless the Beast Kings were of a special race. 7. The others present also looked worried. Sir, I wonder, could the tower send another legendary battle pet warrior? The commander-in-chief asked Legend Riverside. That might sound rude, and a legendary battle pet warrior with a petty heart would certainly be offended. But that was not the time to mince words. The others were also looking at Legend Riverside with anticipation. If there were 2 legendary battle pet warriors, the chances for survival would be greater. They wouldn't have to be on edge and as worried as they were right then. It is hard. Legend Riverside shook his head and heaved a sigh. You must have heard about the global situation. Every place needs reinforcements, but we only have so many legendary battle pet warriors. Many base cities are currently under attack, but they have no legendary battle pet warriors to support them. The fact that I was able to come to the Holy Light Base City is because yours is a Class A base city in the subcontinent district. People said nothing while overwhelmed by despair. Do not lose hope, Legend Riverside comforted them. Either way, I'm not leaving the Holy Light Base City. I understand there's a great number of Beast Kings, but please try to distract them and buy me some time, so I can kill them one by one and as fast as I can. His words had boosted the listeners' confidence. Yes, you're right. Thank you, sir, the Trainers Association will do its utmost. An old man stroked his beard and said with a smile, don't be so pessimistic. Legend Riverside can help us kill some Beast Kings and the Holy Light Base City is not a pushover, to begin with. Our military forces can deal with 1 or 2 Beast Kings and our Trainers Association will also take part. The commander-in-chief's eyes glowed. Are you saying that you have some powerful battle pets? Naturally. The old man kept on stroking his bear. Our chairman has learned a thing or two from his latest round of closed-door cultivation. He is at the threshold of the Holy Spirit rank. He managed to train 3 battle pets that are at the 9th rank but can compete against Beast Kings. Holy Spirit! How astonishing! That old man's tranquil state gave everyone hope. Holy Spirit trainer! That was much better than the 9th rank top trainer. Of the entire Trainers Association, it had been 100 years since a Holy Spirit trainer had surfaced. In all the history of the Trainers Association, there were only records of a couple of Holy Spirit trainers. It was all because of the Holy Spirit trainers' effort that the Trainers Association had been able to become world-renowned, making the Holy Light Base City become the holy land for trainers in the subcontinent district. The Holy Light Base City was named after the Holy Spirit trainers. It was said that a Holy Spirit trainer could inspire the intelligence and potential of a pet, turning the pet into a fate challenger. For a pet to challenge a Beast King while still being below that rank. Such a pet would be considered as a fate challenger. I cannot believe he has made that breakthrough, the commander-in-chief could barely conceal his excitement. 3 fate challenger pets were equal to 3 Beast Kings. At the very least, they could buy enough time for Legend Riverside to kill the wild Beast Kings one by one. Legend Riverside, too, was surprised. He eyed the old man with reverence. The old man was the vice-chairman of the Trainers Association. It was known that legendary battle pet warriors didn't care for the Trainers Association in the past, because all that the trainers had been able to nurture was still below the Beast King rank. Legendary battle pet warriors needed Beast Kings. Even the top trainers could only nurse their Beast Kings instead of training them. However, the Trainers Association had once again recovered its full glory with the appearance of a new Holy Spirit trainer. Even the legendary battle pet warriors from the tower would come knocking on the association's door. Congratulations! Legend Riverside cupped his fists. I will pay him a visit after the mission is over. I hope he will receive me. Of course, sir, we are in debt to you and we appreciate your help. The old man sounded flattered. The other people were glad and proud to see the change in Legend Riverside's attitude. Trainers were more valuable than battle pet warriors in their base city. There were still some legendary battle pet warriors, but the number of Holy Spirit trainers in the world could be counted with one's fingers. The rarer, the more valuable. That was the source of a trainer's pride. Let's talk about business. The commander-in-chief was the first to come back to his senses. After congratulating the vice-chairman, the former changed back to his solemn look again. Even if we do have those battle pets, we cannot afford to be careless. After all, we haven't found out the exact number of Beast Kings heading our way. I don't know how many are in hiding and if there are more at the Void State. He wasn't a legendary warrior, but the commander-in-chief clearly knew the states of the legendary rank. The gap between the Void State and the Ocean State was enormous. That was what worried him. Legend Riverside put away his smile and nodded with a heavy mind. We should be prepared for Beast Kings of the Void State. The Scientific Research Department has recently produced several new nuclear weapons. Their explosive power can be controlled in a small range, but such weapons can inflict great harm on Beast Kings. The Commander-in-Chief added, the Holy Light Base City has collected some rare formations in the past years. If we do our best, I think we can stall 5 Beast Kings. That is the best we can do. Legend Riverside gazed at the Commander-in-Chief. 5 Beast Kings. That was better than any Class A base city was able to do. Class A base cities were usually able to deal with 1 or 2 Beast Kings. They would have to use some special means to terrorize the Beast Kings. But the Holy Light Base City had kept such secrets. I can have a try when we find Beast Kings of the Void State, Legend Riverside said. He could not hide his strength. They had to focus on the big picture and be honest. In this situation, anything that could sabotage their cooperation would result in death. Okay. The Commander-in-Chief pointed at the sand table. We will go through this opening. The wild beasts should be coming from mountain passes where rocks are everywhere. The rocks have a high volume of metal and that makes the mountain pass a perfect spot for the battle pets of the stone family. It just so happens that we have specially trained battle pets of the stone family, Legend Riverside frowned. High volume of metal? How? I thought the rocks were the usual sedimentary kind. The Commander-in-Chief smiled. Sir, you did not know this. We have secretly altered the mountain. We used battle pets of the stone family to inject metal elements into the rocks. This mountain is our base city's first line of defense, just in case something happens. So, this is our most important strategic pass and we have made it so. Legend Riverside could not believe this. That seemingly unimportant mountain pass was a secret defense line for the Holy Light Base City. The other locals merely smiled. They naturally knew of such secrets, given their status as members of the base city's upper class. You have my admiration. Legend Riverside seemed to be relaxed. Don't mention it. Without some foresight, one is bound to run into trouble afterward. The Commander-in-Chief went on and introduced his plan and arrangement. Time flew. They received updated information while they discussed, which helped them to fine-tune their plans right away. Now that's curious. The beasts are slowing down. I think they have stopped. Are they going to rest for a while and then start the charge? Someone wondered. That assumption was not without reason. The group of beasts would often have a leader that could be as intelligent as a human. I don't think so. They are still far away from us. Are you saying that they're going to charge from that distance? How I wish it were so, they wouldn't have much strength left by the time they arrived. I think something happened, Legend Riverside said in a low voice. The others agreed. They were still worried, they did not know if that was good or bad news for them. Soon, they learned another thing. The wild beasts moving toward the Kinshan mountain are also stopping. The commander-in-chief was stunned. Go and find out the reason at all costs. I must know. Can it be that the leaders are coming out? Are they going to put all the wild beasts together so that they can focus on one place to strike? Some titled battle pet warriors voiced their concern. Legend Riverside frowned as well. Sudden changes were the most difficult to deal with. 10 minutes later. Updated information. The wild beasts coming from Ye River had stopped. In the meantime, some wild beasts from the Kinshan mountain had left their group and a few were still going toward the base city. Noises of battles. I don't believe it. That information was shocking. A titled battle pet warrior took fatal risks and was able to collect some sensational information. He found traces of battles at the Kinshan mountain, as well as wild beast corpses. Including beast kings? Are you kidding me? Was that an internal strife? Or, did someone go after the wild beasts? What? The commander-in-chief and Legend Riverside looked at each other speechlessly. That was beyond logic and reason. An internal conflict was easier to accept. If it were a person who stopped the wild beasts, how bold would the person have to be able to kill beast kings? It was impossible. Have legendary battle pet warriors from the tower come to lend a hand, someone whispered. It seemed to be the only logical explanation. Apart from a team of legendary battle pet warriors from the tower, who else was capable of such a feat? Legend Riverside was confused. As far as he knew, no legendary battle pet warriors in the tower had such free time. Were they just passing by? But they wouldn't have attacked the Beast Kings when the sheer number of wild beasts was that massive. As everyone was making their own conjectures, another jaw-dropping piece of news arrived. Some wild beasts had also left the group at the Ye River, they were running for their lives. Someone had noticed a fierce battle, but since they were too far away, they were unable to see the details. That piece of information left the commander-in-chief, Legend Riverside, and everyone else utterly dumbstruck. They were certain that someone had stopped the wild beasts before they even arrived. That person had not needed them to help. He charged into the beasts and caused great casualties. How terrifying! It must be a senior legendary battle pet warrior from the tower who has learned of our plight and came over. Legend Riverside shared his suspicions. The tower would always have the most comprehensive information. So, was there a more terrifying presence hidden behind groups of wild beasts that they didn't know of? Was that the reason why the tower had sent over a legendary battle pet warrior at the Void State as a reinforcement? If the latter was true, Legend Riverside felt he could finally relax. Half an hour later another report arrived. All the beasts that were headed toward the Holy Light Base City had stopped. Some groups of beasts had been routed. What? The vice-chairman of the Trainers Association stuttered in shock. So, we did nothing and the beasts stopped. The information seemed to be supporting that unbelievable theory. So, they had only discussed their planning and analysis with fervor, but the threatening droves of beasts weren't even a threat anymore. They would be ready for battle in case there were still wild beasts coming. At the same time, they had to express their appreciation to the legendary battle pet warrior, or warriors who had stepped in and solved the problem for them. What? The vice-chairman was a bit speechless. They had been discussing and sharing what secret weapons they had prepared when all of a sudden, they didn't have to use them. Of course it was a good thing, but it still felt strange. Let's head to the entrance, the commander-in-chief suggested to Legend Riverside. Legend Riverside nodded. They had planned accordingly, it was of no use staying in the tent. All they needed to do was to wait for more updated information. The intelligence unit was an eye for them, they could provide information so they would know what the wild beasts were like so they could plan ahead. Just one legendary battle pet warrior. They did not lie to me. Suo Ping gazed at the magnificent wall of the Holy Light Base City. He really just sensed one legendary battle pet warrior. And that man is at the Ocean State. How weak! If those wild beasts would have reached the Holy Light Base City, they would have turned the whole place upside down. It's a good thing I finished almost all of them, except for some insignificant animals, Suo Ping thought. Whoosh! The Inferno Dragon dashed out from a cluster of clouds, some of the mist tried clinging onto its wings. The dragon flew down toward the base city's outer wall. Hey! Incoming! That's a powerful beast. Is it at the peak of the 9th rank? Wait, I see a person. Reinforcements. Many people on the wall had noticed the dragon as it dove down through the clouds. The dragon was large enough to stand out and its energy was oppressive. Reinforcements. The Commander-in-Chief and Legend Riverside had also noticed the dragon. I think that person looks familiar. The Vice-Chairman narrowed his eyes so that he could see clearly. 2 seconds later, astonishment climbed to his face. It's him? What is a trainer doing here? Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 titled battle pet warriors took to the skies. A titled battle pet warrior stood in front of the dragon and asked with respect, "Sir, are you here to help?" Those who made an appearance at this time would most likely be reinforcements. Of course, there was a small chance of beasts disguised as humans would try to infiltrate to create some trouble. It seemed unbelievable, but beasts knew how to disguise themselves. It could happen. Some special beasts could morph into different creatures. Others had the ability to delve into other creatures' brains to manipulate them. Such a tragedy had already happened once. A beast disguised as a human had sneaked into a base city. The beast then worked from within, collaborating with forces posted outside, destroying that base city in an instant. Yes. Suo Ping nodded. The problem was solved, more or less. I came to visit some old friends. The 2 titled battle pet warriors looked at each other in astonishment. The problem was solved? They had just been notified. How could this man know? They sized Suo Ping up. Sir, what is your title? The Holy Light Base City will certainly be grateful for your kindness. Please help us take note of your information. You don't have to know my title. I'm Suo Ping from the Longjiang Base City. Truth be told, I am also a trainer. Here's my medal. Suo Ping knew what the 2 titled battle pet warriors really wanted to find out. He didn't find their vigilance discomforting. He took out this top trainer medal from the storage space and presented it to the pair. Top trainer. The 2 were stunned. This young-looking man is a top trainer? Since they were living in the Holy Light Base City, the 2 clearly understood very well how honorable the top trainers were. Longjiang Base City. Top trainer, one of the 2 suddenly remembered something. Do you have a student? Yes, from the Zhong family, Suo Ping said. It is you, the titled warrior exhaled in relief. He cupped his fists with delight and respect. I have heard so much about you. Was it a risky journey? This way, please. The vice-chairman is here. Do you want to meet him? Okay. Suo Ping nodded. The other titled battle pet warrior came back to his senses. He was still surprised, not only was the young man a titled battle pet warrior, he was also a top trainer. Was he actually an old man in disguise? That must be it. The 2 accompanied Suo Ping to the outer wall. Suo Ping sent the Inferno Dragon back to the contract space and flew to the outer wall to meet the legendary battle pet warrior. Brother Su? It is you. The vice-chairman soon recognized him. He was the first who ran to meet him. He was grateful since Suo Ping had volunteered to help. Suo Ping was just a trainer, while he was at the titled rank, trainers usually didn't have the corresponding combat strength. They merely increased their ranks so they could have enough astral powers for their battle pets training. Long time no see. How is your student? Suaping had missed that old man. He smiled at the latter. You mean Yunzhen, right? She has earned the master medal not long ago. As he spoke of his student, the vice-chairman could not help but flash a smug smile. He had chosen the student himself, he still trusted that he had picked the best there was. Time had proved him right. Zhongling Tong, Suaping's student, had not visited the base city to take the test. Muliutasu had the best performance at the competition, but Yu Yunzhen had actually passed the test before Muliutasu. The vice-chairman still made a mental note to hold a small contest when their students met again. Suaping was present, but his student wasn't. It was also not the right time to bring a student over. Well done. Suaping smiled. That was good enough. He remembered that Yunzhen was very young. Since Yunzhen had passed the test, if she could then discover a path of research for herself, she could later become another top trainer. Well, she's okay, I think. While the vice-chairman said so, he wasn't able to conceal the happiness in his eyes. Brother Lu, who is this? The commander-in-chief and Legend Riverside walked over. Before that day, they would have had to wait for the vice-chairman to approach them. Still, the Trainers' Association had reason to elicit more respect since the chairman was at the threshold of the Holy Spirit rank. The vice-chairman was not too focused on this, but as people would say, when a man gets to the top, all his friends and relations would get there along with him. Even Legend Riverside would need to behave respectfully towards the vice-chairman. Approaching the vice-chairman might not see much, still, it was indeed a sign of respect. The vice-chairman realized he had lost himself in the reunion. Brother Su, this is Legend Riverside and he's here to help us. This is our commander-in-chief. They are the advisors, he then introduced Suaping to the others. He spoke of Suaping with pride, also including his status against a member of the association. Top trainer. They were surprised, seeing a top trainer so young. The commander-in-chief suddenly remembered that not long before, Suaping had earned his fame with a stunning performance, he had committed that name to memory. The commander-in-chief was not made aware that the man was that young. Ah, Brother Su from Longjiang, what a hero, the commander-in-chief exclaimed, I admire you for the fact that you are still willing to take the risk for our sake. The commander-in-chief added, Brother Su, did you arrive alone? How was the trip? The vice-chairman sized the young Suaping and was happy to see that there were no wounds nor blood on him. Yes. Suaping nodded. I was in the Longyang base city and overheard that beasts were going to attack your base city. I decided to make the trip over. Most of the wild beasts have been dealt with at this point. There might still be small groups of wild beasts trying to attack, but I don't think that's going to be a probleme for you. His words stunned everyone speechless. The commander-in-chief and Legend Riverside were harboring suspicions. They stepped further away from Suaping. Brother Su, how do you know that? The commander-in-chief asked. Legend Riverside stared at Suaping. They had just been informed about that. There was only one explanation that Suaping also knew. He had to be a wild beast in disguise. Other than that, Legend Riverside could not find any other reason. Did he see them on his way over? No way. No way. The beasts were traveling on different routes. Suaping would have to deliberately go around the area to see them all. I finished them. Of course I know, Suaping said. There was a moment of silence. They eyed Suaping with astonishment. The young man wondered if he had said something wrong. The commander-in-chief and Legend Riverside didn't say anything. They were waiting for an explanation, but that was not the explanation they had expected, and Suaping had said it quite naturally. Did he finish them? How? He's just a trainer. Not even a Holy Spirit trainer, let alone a top trainer, could have done that. You are only at the titled rank, right? Legend Riverside pulled a long face. Suaping was unhappy. He could infer what Legend Riverside was implying. Who said that a titled battle pet warrior cannot kill beast kings? Legend Riverside snorted. That is not what I was saying. We do know fate challengers, and even if you are one, you couldn't have done all that. Do you know how many beast kings there were? He was giving Suaping the cold shoulder treatment. He believed that only Void State battle pet warriors from the tower could have stopped the strike. The credit should go to the tower. But Suaping was trying to steal their thunder. How arrogant of him! If I remember correctly, there were 12 beast kings. Why? Suaping stared at him. He understood that others could have some doubts, but he wasn't happy about Legend Riverside's tone. 12? The commander-in-chief and the others were shocked. The information they had received was that there had been 7 beast kings, but Suaping said the number was 12. So, 5 beast kings are hiding. Are you kidding me? You're telling me that you personally took care of 12 beast kings? Legend Riverside was livid with rage. Even he would have run away upon seeing 12 beast kings. Suaping might have killed the beast kings one by one, but he couldn't have done so within such a short time. He understood that titled battle pet warriors were able to fight against beast kings. Still, it wasn't okay for Suaping to boast like that. Suaping was speechless. Arguing about it was meaningless. Since the beast kings are no longer part of the mix, you are welcome to go and find out for yourselves. The beast kings' corpses are most likely still there. You must have sentries, right? Tell them to go and find out, Suaping said without batting an eyelid. The commander-in-chief was full of suspicion. Is Suaping serious? But that's not possible. He and Legend Riverside shared the same thought. And yet, Suaping was quite calm and collected. That was not how a liar would act. Brother Su, are you serious? The vice-chairman gazed at Suaping in astonishment. Suaping was at first talking to him about their students. He believed that it was indeed Suaping, not a beast in disguise. That is, unless some pesticides had eaten up Suaping's brain and absorbed his memory, but such pesticides were rare. Also, as a trainer himself, the vice-chairman was sensitive enough to detect the presence of any beast. He also had the beast alert device on him, and the device had not gone off. So, it had to be Suaping in the flesh. Suaping rolled his eyes. Why would I lie to you? Don't worry. I'm not asking for anything in return. I'm just dropped by to help and to pay a visit. You don't have to thank me, but don't act so paranoid with me. The others looked at each other speechlessly. It seemed that Suaping was telling the truth. As they wondered, someone had quickly returned to make a report. 9 dead beast kings had been found. The commander-in-chief and the others gazed at Suaping in astonishment. They had found 9 dead beast kings and the search had not reached the end yet. Were there really 12 beast kings like Suaping said? Do you have any studying materials for master trainers in the association? Suaping asked the vice-chairman. The latter came back to his senses. Studying materials, yes. If you do, give me some copies. I want to show them to my students, Suaping explained. He could directly turn Zhong Lingtong into a top trainer by imparting her the rules he knew. However, she would only be able to copy him if they used such a method, that would limit her potential. She would then only be able to follow him, never being able to discover a path of her own. He didn't want that. He knew next to nothing about basics and theories, having to ask others for the studying materials, she would have to learn them by herself. His methods were unteachable because he was pursuing a different path from the ones used in the Trainers Association. Yes. I will take you there to lend you some, the vice-chairman said. Good. Let's go now. I think everything is under control by now. After all, there is also a legendary battle pet warrior present, Suaping said. Legend Riverside curled his lips. After all, there was a legendary battle pet warrior? Suo Ping said it as if he were just a trophy warrior. Okay, the vice-chairman agreed and said his goodbyes to the commander-in-chief. The latter didn't disagree. The vice-chairman didn't have to stay there, since victory had been attained. Also, Suo Ping was quite suspicious. How had he managed to know all about their intel? I still think there has to be a reasonable explanation. I don't think Mr. Suo is a beast in disguise, the commander-in-chief continued. If he were, he wouldn't have told us all the details and we wouldn't have questioned his identity. Why would he bring all that up if he were a beast? I wouldn't make any sense. Legend Riverside was tongue-tied. He could not answer the question. Brother Su, is everything fine at the Longjiang base city? Lu Chu asked with concern. The entire world is in trouble. I heard that something happened at the deep caves and a lot of beast kings got out. This strike is a case in point. It is a first for us to have seen a strike with a dozen beast kings or more. It was as if they had merely come out from nowhere. Suo Ping shook his head at the question. Longjiang is currently out of trouble. We also have legendary battle pet warriors. We can figure something out if something were to go wrong. I believe the Longjiang base city is the safest place in the world. You can come with me if you guys want to relocate to Longjiang. We can take care of each other, Suo Ping advised. Suo Ping was serious, but Lu Chu didn't understand the reason for that proposal. Longjiang was the safest place in the world? It was only a Class B base city, while the Holy Light base city had been a Class A base city for a long time. They would have survived a strike with 1 or 2 beast kings, without any help from the tower. On the other hand, 1 beast king would mean disaster for a Class B base city. I want to make you the same offer. I can make arrangements if you want to relocate to the Holy Light base city, Lu Chu said. I'm being serious, Suo Ping said grumpily. It would have been impossible for that Ocean State warrior to stop those 12 beast kings and the other wild beasts if I hadn't shown up, and I'm not saying this because I underestimate him or anything. The tower would have had to send another legendary battle pet warrior over to give him a hand. But, you also know that since the entire world is in trouble, the tower has too many problems to deal with at the moment. They don't have warriors to spare. Lu Chu understood that. Brother Su, tell me the truth. Were you serious about the 12 beast kings? Lu Chu asked. Suo Ping didn't know what to say. I finished them myself. Do you think I cannot count? Additions and subtractions within 100 are not a problem for me. Lu Chu didn't know what to say. This is not a math problem. It's about whether you could actually handle that many beast kings. You're just at the titled rank. Which titled battle pet warrior is able to kill 12 beast kings? Suo Ping knew he wasn't getting through to Lu Chu from the looks of it. Lu Chu's mind had limited his vision. Suo Ping could only blame the fact that he was just too outstanding. Brother Lu, I'm telling you this because I see you as a friend, Suo Ping said. The situation is very complicated and the problem at the deep caves is a lot more serious than you think. I took care of today's strike, but they may try again another day. And the second strike will be more intense. By then, the Holy Light base city won't be able to handle it. Being a friend, I would hate to see you suffer. Suo Ping was sincere. After a moment of stupor, Lu Chu whispered, do you know some inside information? Kind of. Can you tell me? I have already told you. All in all, we are in great danger and the beasts will not give up so easily. The tower might not be able to handle it, Suo Ping cautioned him. Lu Chu narrowed his eyes in fear. Not even the tower? I don't believe it. The tower is a global organization of legendary battle pet warriors. Not even all the legendary battle pet warriors working together can solve this issue. Suo Ping shook his head. Lu Chu turned pale after seeing Suo Ping shake his head without hesitation. He no longer spoke. They hurried on, soon arriving at the association's office building. The streets outside were crowded, many people were standing in lines near the front gate. Many trainers were hurrying to and fro among the buildings. The base city was still under a state of emergency. Only warriors and army vehicles could be seen on the streets. "We're here. I'm going to find you some study materials. How many do you need?" Lu Chu decided to set the beast strikes and the relocation matters aside after they arrived. Sui Ping no longer talked about those pressing issues, either. He had said more than enough. "The more the better," Sui Ping said. As far as he could tell, the Holy Light Base City could collapse at any moment, those study materials could end up buried or destroyed. He would rather take away as many with him as possible. And what about staying there to protect the Holy Light Base City? No, no way. Long Zhong needed him. Besides, based on what he had seen in the deep caves, whether he could save Long Zhong or not was still a question. Maybe in the end he would only be able to protect the neighboring streets around his store. War was coming, there was only so much that Sui Ping could do. It was unrealistic to only rely on his own power to save everyone. At that very moment, there might be base cities around the world where many were dying and weeping in sorrow. The war had affected the world. There was no paradise on the blue planet. "Well," Lu Chu said, "if you want to ask for more, you can trade with your own training method materials. 1 for 10. Is that okay with you? I just want the free stuff. I'll 113 copies then. I will use my merit points to get them for you and you can come back for others after you finish the 3. Lu Chu forced a smile. "Sure thing." They flew across the crowd. All of a sudden, Sui Ping saw a line. There were a few people wearing trainer uniforms at the very front. The 2 girls. Sui Ping saw 2 familiar faces, he immediately recognized them. "Brother Lu, wait for a moment," Sui Ping said. Lu Chu stopped. Sui Ping flew toward the line. "It is you. Where's your dad?" Sui Ping asked the 2 girls. Their father was Shi Hokai, the man who had once helped him. It was Zhenxiang and Tong Tong. The 2 girls were quite surprised to see Sui Ping descend from the sky. What are you doing here?" "Why? I shouldn't be here. That's not what I meant. I thought you had gone back. Are you here to help?" Shi Zhenxiang finally found her tongue. She was gladly surprised. Sui Ping nodded. "What are you doing? Where's your dad?" "He's in a meeting." "We're here to help," Tong Tong said with a chuckle. Sui Ping said to the 2 girls, "I'll be going back soon. Do you want to go with me to the Longjiang base city? It is safer there." "Safer?" Shi Zhenxiang eyed him with confusion. "But that is only a Class B base city, right? We would happily go, but your base city is not safe at all. Why don't you come here? We have a legendary battle pet warrior in the Holy Light Base City, since we've been paying fees to the tower. The tower will focus on us, you should stay here instead." Sui Ping repeated himself for the girl's sake, "This isn't necessarily safe. Think about it. If you want to, come meet me later and bring your dad with you. You're not making any sense. We will not leave. In any case, the Holy Light Base City is on the verge of enduring great disasters. We cannot leave." Shi Zhenxiang was determined. Tong Tong nodded along. Sui Ping knew he couldn't persuade them like that, so he tried something else. "Your problems have been solved, but the Longjiang Base City needs more assistance. Are you willing to go and help?" "Solved? How? The wild beasts haven't arrived yet." Tong Tong's eyes were wide open. "She's right. It is true. You'll receive the news soon enough," Sui Ping said. The 2 girls were still full of questions while the close-up onlookers were startled. The problem had been solved? But we were just getting ready to fight. Has the tower sent another legendary battle pet warrior? Shi Zhenxiang asked. Sui Ping offered a silent smile. "We will go if the Holy Light Base City is safe, but I don't think we can be of much help. We can help train battle pets for free and strengthen them. But there's only so much that we can do, Tong Tong said. Yet. Zhen Xiang nodded in agreement. Sui Ping heaved a sigh inwardly. These sisters are so nice. Offering help, without any strings attached. It's a deal. I will go and find your dad later, Sui Ping said. After saying their goodbyes, he went back to where Liu Qiu was. Are you sure that you want to take them away with you? Liu Qiu frowned. He didn't approve of Sui Ping's actions. Longzhong would be more dangerous than the Holy Light Base City. Sui Ping's offer did more harm than good. Liu Qiu was unable to understand why Sui Ping was doing that. I can give you 2 rare battle pets if the Longzhong Base City needs assistance, Liu Qiu said. He didn't know Sui Ping well enough to give him rare battle pets for free. After all, each rare battle pet was valuable, but this was war, they should help each other at this time. He valued Sui Ping and would hate for him to suffer misfortune. Sui Ping heaved a sigh. Brother Liu, I'm serious. Think about my offer. The Longzhong Base City is safer. Trust me. Liu Qiu produced a forced smile. I won't leave even if it's true. This is where I grew up, my home. I want to be buried here when I die, not somewhere else. Sui Ping knew that there was nothing else he could do. A short while later, Liu Qiu took Sui Ping to the association's library. He told Sui Ping to wait outside while he went to pick the study materials for him. Once he returned, Sui Ping placed the materials in his storage space, then they went to find Shi Hokai. They're having a meeting. I forgot to tell you that. Our chairman has just exited his most recent seclusion and is right by the door of becoming a Holy Spirit trainer. I spoke to our chairman about you, he has a great opinion about you. You've come at a good time. Talk to him, he may give you some inspiration. You may also become a Holy Spirit trainer in the future. Liu Qiu said gaily. Sui Ping was surprised. Holy Spirit trainer? Holy Spirit trainers could inspire battle pets and make them intelligent. That was something similar to what the Enlightening Guide could do. To be exact, Sui Ping was already a Holy Spirit trainer. He had already tried the Enlightening Guide when he participated in the competition back then. It was just that no one connected him to a Holy Spirit trainer, and he only realized that after he went back. Well, we will talk about that later. If the chairman agrees to it, I hope he can relocate to the Longzhong Base City. That will facilitate our discussion, Sui Ping said. Liu Qiu did not know what to say. Sui Ping is thinking about poaching the chairman. Discussion? Didn't you hear what I said? The chairman is going to become a Holy Spirit trainer. You should learn from the chairman, not discuss with him. Liu Qiu was speechless. He realized that the stunning fact he had just revealed had not amazed Sui Ping in the slightest. Liu Qiu shook his head. He didn't want to argue about it. I'll take you to Shi Hokai, Liu Qiu said. He led Sui Ping to a tall building where the important meetings were held. The seal around the building would continue to stand even if a bunch of 9th-rank beasts were to strike it for an hour. That was a critical location for the association. Sui Ping immediately sensed that dozens of 8th and 9th rank battle pet warriors were gathered on one floor. As a matter of fact, they should be called trainers. Their astral powers weren't condensed enough when compared to the actual 8th and 9th rank battle pet warriors. I'll go in and let them know, Liu Qiu said. Sui Ping nodded. Liu Qiu left. Soon after, many people came out from the building along with him. There was a man with white hair and a white robe. There wasn't a speck of dust on him. He was a man who seemed not to belong to that world. It was an educated and graceful old man. Sir, this is Mr. Su, Liu Qiu introduced. He then turned to Sui Ping. My original intent was for you to go and meet the chairman, but as you can see, our chairman is not a man of formalities. He decided he could come to you instead. Don't tell him what you just told me. No more nonsense. Sui Ping sized the chairman up and replied to Liu Qiu, that was not nonsense. I'm serious. The old man smiled. Oh, don't worry about this. I have heard about Mr. Su's exploits. A talent like Mr. Su is bound to see and display uncommon things. Talents are different from the general public. Liu Chu produced a forced smile. Su Ping is certainly different. He's insane. Su Ping asked, Chairman, how should I address you? Call me Elder Ziu. He smiled. Really? Ziu kind of sounds like Zhu. Su Ping blinked. The people present could not believe what they had just heard. Su Ping was bold enough to joke about the chairman. Liu Chu was frightened. Mr. Su. Ha, ha, but Elder Ziu laughed. Brother Su, I see that you're indeed different. You stray from the norm and I like it. My surname is Ziu and they always call me like that. But I think you're right. Ha, ha, Elder Ziu, the deep caves are in trouble and so is the world. The Holy Light Base City is not necessarily a safe place. I heard from Brother Lu that you're on the verge of becoming a Holy Spirit trainer. How about you go to my place? There's a location that is perfectly safe. I promise that you'll be safe and sound. Su Ping extended his invitation. He had determined through that brief exchange that the elder was a good man, worthy of his help. After all, it would be a shame for a Holy Spirit trainer to die there. Mr. Su. Liu Chu was losing patience. He had just told Su Ping to avoid the crazy talk. And there he was, at it again. In the entire world, other than in the tower, no other place was safer than the Holy Light Base City. As a SA besides, that was a sacred base city for all trainers and Su Ping was actually asking the leader of such a lofty place to relocate. What a ridiculous joke! Elder Ziu was surprised. It surprised him even more since he was able to see the sincerity conveyed by Su Ping. The elder asked, Mr. Su, I heard that you're not only a top trainer, but an outstanding battle pet warrior. You can kill legendary battle pet warriors while you are only at the titled rank. You were even able to break into the tower and leave safely. Mr. Su, I wonder. Who is your teacher? The others were stunned into silence. Liu Chu and the other top trainers opened their eyes wide in astonishment. Killing legendary battle pet warriors. Breaking into the tower. Is that all a joke? Because it didn't sound real. Elder Ziu, you've looked up my background, right? Su Ping raised his eyebrows. It seemed that Elder Ziu had collected enough information, or else he wouldn't have known those details. No wonder he was so respectful. Whoever my teacher is has nothing to do with what I did. I killed legendary battle pet warriors because they offended me or they deserved death. As for the tower, you know that I'm not in good terms with them and I'm not trying to hide that fact. But I'm asking you to go with me, and it's not because I want to anger the tower. The fact remains that if the tower can send more legendary battle pet warriors to keep the Holy Light Base City safe, I would be more than happy to see that. Su Ping admitted that he did those things. Liu Chu and the others gazed at him in astonishment. They suddenly realized that they hadn't known Su Ping well enough. A top trainer who was also a fate challenger? Really? Elder Ziu nodded at Su Ping. You are right. Thank you Mr. Su, I trust you. But I have to say that I am the chairman of the Trainers Association and for me, the Holy Light Base City is not just my hometown. This is a place that I have spent my entire life to protect. If something were to go wrong, I would be more than happy to stand with the Holy Light Base City till the last moment. Of course, it would be for the best if nothing happened, he added with a smile. If you say so. Since the elder insisted on staying, Su Ping decided to give up on the lobbying. It was understandable. If it were him and people told him to leave the Longjiang Base City to stay alive, he would leave, of course. So, at the end of the day, he didn't understand. Su Ping shook his head. If it were him, he would save his life first and then go back to his hometown to rebuild it, that was what he would do. Why stay until his life was in danger? Although he could not understand, he respected Elder Ziu's choice. It was rare for people to act according to their beliefs, those who did had to be respected. Mr. Su, are you here to help us? Elder Ziu asked with a smile. Su Ping nodded. I was in the Longyang base city for some business and heard about you, so I came over to help. But the problem has already been dealt with. The Beast Kings were killed and the remaining wild beasts won't inflict any great harm. We have heard about this from Lu Chiu. They're collecting more details as we speak. Elder Ziu gazed at Su Ping. Mr. Su, I heard that you killed the Beast Kings. I want to thank you on behalf of everyone in the Holy Light Base City. Elder Ziu placed his feet together, crossed his right arm in front of his chest and bowed. That startled Lu Chiu and the other trainers. Only senior legendary battle pet warriors would be worthy of Elder Ziu's bow. Even some legendary warriors of the Ocean State would have to treat Elder Ziu with respect, especially since he was about to become a Holy Spirit trainer. They would have to count on him to train their battle pets. Sir, don't do this. Sir, please. The top trainers wished they could forcefully make Elder Su rise, but they were afraid to intervene. Su Ping didn't expect such a grand gesture, either. He released some astral powers to help Elder Ziu up and said, Sir, you flatter me. It wasn't a big deal. After all, I'm not doing this for free. See, Brother Lu just got me 3 scrolls. They are more than enough as thanks and compensation to me. Elder Ziu stood up and glared at Lu Chiu, who was still trying to help Elder Ziu up but was hesitating. Don't mention it, Mr. Su. Are you planning to use those materials for your student? Elder Ziu asked. Su Ping forced a smile. Sir, I see that you know everything about me. Yes, I requested those materials for my student, as I don't have the time to teach her. She will have to learn by herself. Elder Ziu drew a long face and said to Lu Chiu, Lu, the Holy Light Base City owes Mr. Su. He saved our base city. Is this how you thank him? From today on, whatever Mr. Su asks for, as long as we have it, he can have it. Lu Chiu was dumbstruck. So was everyone else. Su Ping could get whatever he wanted? The matter of the Beast Kings had yet to be confirmed. Su Ping made those claims without showing proof. Why is the chairman buying that? Sir, we haven't reached a conclusion about that. Mr. Su is here to help. But, Lu Chiu wanted to explain but was unable to find the right words. Elder Ziu scolded him, go and ask clairvoyance who Mr. Su is. He killed a legendary battle pet warrior in public at the Supremacy League and left the tower safely after killing 2 legendary battle pet warriors. The tower is not even thinking about holding him accountable. Why is it surprising that Mr. Su can kill Beast Kings? Why would a man of such caliber lie? Lu Chiu and the others were speechless. So, it was real. They gazed at Su Ping, perplexed. Of course, it was unlikely that their chairman would lie. But it was hard to believe. Su Ping looked at the shocked crowd. Mr. Chairman, thank you for your kindness. Now that you kindly offered, I want dozens of scrolls related to master trainer materials and also top trainer materials. Get me everything you have and I will give them back to you when I'm done. As the others had finally come back to their senses, they were once again shocked by Su Ping's greed. He was going to empty their library. Brother Su, Lu Chiu was stuttering. Elder Ziu was confused. Mr. Su, I don't think your student can finish them all. She has time. Lu Chiu jumped in, you can come back and get more after she's finished reading 1 or 2. Su Ping answered, but I'm afraid all the books will soon be gone. Why would that happen? We keep them safe, Lu Chiu said. Su Ping shook his head. I said it before and I'll say it again. The situation is complicated. I averted today's strike, but no one can say for sure if the beasts would no longer return. The tower can't send more legendary battle pet warriors. Do you honestly think you can protect the base city? Liu Qiu moved his lips but failed to talk. Elder Xiu asked, Mr. Su, do you know something? Su Ping nodded. You can wait for the tower to tell you the details because I'm not at liberty to say, in case confidential information is leaked and the general public falls in a state of panic. In a nutshell, it's dangerous out there, the Holy Light Base City could vanish quickly if something were to go wrong. If you want to survive, go to the Longjiang Base City. I will try my best to keep that place safe. Elder Zia fell into silence. His reaction told the others that he trusted Su Ping. So, was it true that the situation was so grave that not even the tower could handle it? I understand. Thank you, Mr. Su, for telling us. Elder Zia came back to his senses. Don't mention it. You can go to my place whenever you want, Su Ping said, I'm in a hurry. About the studying materials, Lu, take Mr. Su and get them, Elder Zia said to Liu Qiu, Mr. Su can choose anything he likes. Do you understand? Liu Qiu nodded. Brother Shi, pay me a visit sometime, and take your daughters along, Su Ping said to a middle-aged man. That middle-aged man was Shi Hokai. He knew that Su Ping had gone there to find him, but the joy of reunion had turned into complex emotions after hearing that conversation. I will, Shi Hokai said. He had made a decision. He and Liu Qiu were different. Shi Hokai's wife had passed away prematurely and he worried about his two daughters. As long as the two girls were safe, he was even okay with giving up his medal as a master trainer. Su Ping left the crowd and went to the library with Liu Qiu. Su Ping went into the library and took everything he could find. He left behind the artifacts and armors for battle pets. What if the Holy Light Base City was attacked again? The Trainers Association would have to equip the battle pet warriors in the base city. Let's go. Liu Qiu was relieved to see that Su Ping had paid no heed to the precious artifacts. Still, the young man's actions were even more confusing. Are you leaving right away? Liu Qiu asked. The chairman likes you. If you want to ask for some guidance, I'm sure that the chairman would be happy to talk with you. Su Ping was speechless. Brother Liu, it's pointless to become a Holy Spirit trainer at this time. The beasts are coming. What good would it do to become a Holy Spirit trainer right away? Even a Holy Spirit trainer needs time to train a beast king. There wouldn't be a chance to perform wonders. It wouldn't be a quick solution. The wild beasts are not going to give you any time to train. Liu Qiu was startled. Is it really that bad? More or less. Su Ping patted his shoulder but said nothing else as he made to leave. Liu Qiu went after Su Ping at once. They left the association and were on their way to the outer wall. They were about to reach the outer wall when all of a sudden, the outer wall began to shake. Following that, a crack appeared on the outer wall. From under the cracked outer wall reached out dark and twisted tentacles, each being thick and hundreds of meters long. The outer wall had been built by pets of the stone family and it was both sturdy and flexible. Not even a missile could have destroyed it. But the beast had done just that. Roar! The sonorous roar echoed throughout. Many battle pet warriors standing near the crack were caught off guard and turned into dust. Incoming! Liu Qiu narrowed his eyes. The device was beeping. A blue glow was seen through the fabric of his pocket. That was the wild beast detector. Su Ping frowned. A fish had escaped from the net, and a big one at that. Whoosh! 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 At that moment, a number of people flew up to the outer wall. Dozens of hundreds of swirls then appeared close to those people. Fierce battle pets rushed out from the swirls. Some of the battle pets had wings, some were like strange mantises, and others were dancing around like ghosts. Those battle pets charged to attack those tentacles. Still, those 9th-rank battle pets looked petite when compared to those tentacles. Not even 3 or 4 battle pets combined were as big as one tentacle. Roar! Right then, they heard a deafening bellow from a different creature. That dragon was close to adulthood but was still at the ocean state. A void state bloodline didn't necessarily guarantee reaching the void state poorly trained, or malnourished. Like this one, the dragon would never reach the void state in its entire life. The ground around the tentacles shook violently as the dragon roared. Many crystal walls emerged from the ground and surrounded the tentacles. The ground was being crystallized. Stones were gathered on 6 corners, becoming 6 crystal pillars which deeply took root. In case the wild beast would try to sneak away underground, go and hide, a man shouted. He was shouting to the commander-in-chief and the other titled battle pet warriors. They were too weak to deal with a beast king. They had to find a place to hide. The commander-in-chief and the others were startled by the sudden strike. They had been caught off guard. The Holy Light Base City had invested heavy money on building beast detectors, but they had not alerted them at all. No one had sensed the presence of that beast king. Since there were many beasts of the stone family, many base cities would be equipped with beast detectors, in case any of them tried infiltrating them through the underground. The beast detectors used in the Holy Light Base City were among the best. They should have been able to detect beast kings when they were hundreds of thousands of meters away. But that beast king had popped up too suddenly. It seemed that it had simply teleported to that spot. But, what beast could teleport across such a long distance? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The commander-in-chief and the others released their battle pets to cover them as they retreated. They had to find a secure spot and wait for Legend Riverside to handle the battle. As soon as the commander-in-chief and the others left, Legend Riverside opened up the second swirl and the third without hesitation. Roar! Hiss! 2 battle pets came out. The second battle pet was a bird covered in flame feathers. It had fangs and its roar was sonorous. Yes, it was a roar, instead of the usual cry that most birds would utter. The other battle pet was a python with dark scales and a sharp horn on its head. There were scales of a lighter color mixed with the dark ones. When looking from a distance, the lighter-colored scales were like grayish eyes, which made for a disturbing sight. Legend Riverside had commanded the 2 Beast Kings to charge at the Wild Beast King as soon as they came out. A ray of scorching light was shot toward one of the waving tentacles. It looked like the blazing ray, but that ray of light was even more destructive. The ray penetrated the tentacle, leaving a gaping hole. The dark-scaled python quickly slithered toward the Beast King with tentacles. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The tentacles sensed the approaching enemies and stopped entangling with the pestering titled battle pet warriors and their battle pets. It turned over to face the dark-scaled python. In the meantime, a puff of dark mist oozed out from the ground. The nearby battle pets that came into contact with the dark mist cried miserably. They were even shedding their fur. Poisonous mist! Get away! Block the mist! Some titled battle pet warriors shouted and stepped back at once. The others also stepped away, clearly frightened. They used some of their battle pets to erect wind walls and ice mist to block the toxins. That mist didn't seem to disturb the dark python. It continued attacking some tentacles and the ground was shaking as a result. In the distance, many crystal spikes were coming into being on the crystal earth dragon's back. The dragon was preparing a major move. Damn it! How come that beast is here? Have our detectors failed? I don't think so. Teleportation? But the beast would have to be at least at the void state. Not even void state beast kings could have teleported across such a distance. Didn't that man say that he had killed 12 beast kings? What's with this one? Do you still believe that? Do you understand what 12 beast kings represent? I will eat my own sh*t if he was able to kill them all by himself. The commander-in-chief was anxious. Many titled battle pet warriors and battle pets were unable to get away and they fell, one by one, victims to corrosion. Some of them who could not get out in time were melting like candles. The exposed bones were too horrifying to look at. The sudden appearance of a Beast King was a scary event. The good thing was that the Beast King was outside the wall. If it would have directly appeared inside the base city, the prospect of casualties would have gone beyond what they could even begin to imagine. After all, not many battle pet warriors were stationed inside the base city. The Beast King would have ruined everything by the time the protectors of the outer wall were deployed to offer assistance inside the base city. Prepare the Dark Wave Radiation Missile. Target the Beast King's body. Analyze the data and see if you can find a match in the database. Keep an eye out. I'm worried that this thing is just a distraction and the strike is going to happen somewhere else. There can also be another Beast King lurking about. The Commander-in-Chief was issuing orders. Although anxious, the old man was still in control. The people present followed their respective orders, still afraid and nervous. Another one? The Holy Light Base City would be doomed if there were another Beast King. Roar! While they were busy at work, they heard a dragon's roar coming from the mist, but the dragon sounded in pain. There was a bump on the ground. A tower-like behemoth had appeared. The mist blurred people's sights, they could only make out an outline. That thing looked like a conch. The shell had a sharp tip, and several thick tentacles were waving. At that moment, there was an enormous strip of shadow cast over the tentacles. The shadow was the python with the dark scales. The python was being entangled by some tentacles and it was struggling. The python tried to fight back but nothing had been enough to crack that shell. Damn it! Legend Riverside bit his teeth. The moment the beast came out, he then noticed its void state rank. He wasn't confident of fighting against a void state beast, but he was the only legendary battle pet warrior in the base city, so he had to face the challenge. It was just that he didn't expect that his old friend, the python, would be routed so quickly. Merge. Legend Riverside quickly merged with the bird. The bird instantly transformed into heavy flames that surrounded him. After the flames disappeared, a majestic man appeared. Legend Riverside was 3 times as large as before, he had a pair of red wings with feathers on his body, his hands had turned into claws. Go to hell! Legend Riverside charged toward the mist. His whole body was ignited with raging flames, he forcibly blazed a path in the poisonous mist, directly intent on attacking the conch-like Beast King Mu. The conch-like Beast King sensed that Legend Riverside was approaching. The Beast King raised its body and uttered a cry similar to a cow's moo, the call was echoing in the area. The titled battle pet warriors who had not yet been freed from the toxic mist covered up their ears and raised shields. And yet, the shields had soon been broken. Soon, some titled battle pet warriors began to bleed through their eyes or noses. Legend Riverside was flaring up. Ignoring his discomfort, he made a ball of fire and threw it at the Beast King. The ball of fire was murky, albeit destructive. Bang! The next second, the fireball disappeared. However, the wall on the other side suddenly trembled. There was a mushroom cloud. Legend Riverside narrowed his eyes, his heart was racing. That was the power of a void state Beast King. He was just 1 state below, but a Beast King of that rank had already mastered spatial techniques. The Beast King was practically bullying the weaker Legend Riverside. Squeak! The Beast King uttered a noise like a squeaking mouse. It seemed that the Beast King was openly laughing at Legend Riverside. The next second, a swirl suddenly appeared in front of him and would soon suck him in. Legend Riverside knew that he would find turbulent currents in there, stepping into the swirl would mean nothing other than doom for him. Run! Legend Riverside turned around at once, but another swirl appeared behind him and he almost fell. Crystal! Affected by fear, Legend Riverside summoned his battle pet. The Crystal Earth Dragon roared, killing intent was being radiated by the dragon. The thick crystal spike that the dragon had been building was launched. Whoosh! It seemed that even the air began to twist. The crystal spike penetrated the toxic mist and landed on the conch-like beast. Bang! The wild, shelled Beast King didn't see that coming. The spike landed on the shell and the Beast King tilted to a side. Squeak! The Beast King was enraged. Over a dozen swirls appeared around Legend Riverside. The Beast King was determined to pull Legend Riverside in. Legend Riverside was burning in more intense flames. He wanted to destroy the swirls with the power of fire, but the swirls just kept sucking the flames in. Oh crap! Legend Riverside's face was clouded. When he was about to take out another artifact to protect his life, the swirls around him suddenly began to collapse and disappear. A man arrived and pulled Legend Riverside back. Legend Riverside was caught unprepared. He was thrown back. The last thing he saw was a young man standing in front of the beast. "You, escaping fish. You should have found a place to hide and live a little longer, instead of coming here. Go to hell." Suaping gazed at the Beast King coldly. It was a 6 swirls conch with a void state rank, a rare beast born to be skilled with 6 elements. That type of Beast King didn't have a powerful bloodline, it would only reach the void state after growing up. There was a small chance that a 6 swirls conch could evolve to a 9 swirls conch. Suaping took out his word. Slay. Void sword. Space was split up in front of Suaping. A ray of sword light appeared, hundreds of meters long. It silently vanished into the ground. After the ray of sword light went into the soil, the ground behind the 6 swirls conch was cracked with a bang. At the same time, the 6 swirls conch was frozen on the spot. The next second, the beast was split into 2, green blood gushed out, along with the spilling of some internal organs. The dark-scaled python was finally able to get away. It looked at Suaping in fear. Once there was some distance between them, the snake lowered its head and touched the ground to show its appreciation. Suaping darted a glance and put away his sword. That 6 swirls conch was at the void state. He was able to tell that the creature was skilled in the stone, darkness, and poison elements. He had probably failed to notice the Beast King because it had been using strong concealing skills to hide somewhere. Hiss! Suaping suddenly took a deep breath and sucked in the dark mist. The toxic mist flowed into Suaping's mouth, soon taking it all in. Burp! Suaping belched and patted his belly. He felt he could skip dinner that day. He wasn't immune to toxins, but he was highly resistant. Suaping had become used to all kinds of harsh environments in the cultivation sites, including toxic environments. After all, toxic beets were pretty hard to deal with. In the distance, those who had been busy preparing missiles and plans stopped and gazed at Suaping while dumbstruck. Did Suaping just suck in that mist? Did he? Legend Riverside, who had been thrown back by dozens of meters, stared at Suaping with a dull look in his face. It seemed unreal. Was the Void State Beast King cut to death?